all start together. All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. And lovely to be here with you. Hope you had or you are having a wonderful day. 1 second. All right. Koboko, thank you very much for joining. What is your fan club? Listen. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for joining. All right. Before we get into the conversation, I'd like to thank those who have power tapped and have helped us thus far. Thank you for the gifts, Koboko, Panther. I saw T-Dan earlier as well. Thank you very much for your support. Yeah, I'm going to thank everyone. I'd like to thank those who have been power tapping around 72.8k likes. Okay, yeah. So that's better. So thank you very much for 73.3k likes right now. I see Koboko, I see T-Dan, RB71, Ibo Jinodu, lots and lots of people, who have been power tapping. Some of the names, I think they are already up, so I can't really get to them. But every single person who has helped to get us to 73.7k likes right now, thank you very much. All right. So today, we're discussing news. We've been doing... There's some videos I'd like to react to. There was one I got earlier today of an older man, talking about the coup. I kind of like conversations about it because it reveals deeper issues about Nigeria's present conditions based on what has happened in the past. So it's important to respond to things like that, but maybe not today. I'm just saying it out because the person might be here who sent me that video today. I've seen it before, but in the next 1 or 2 weeks, it's about the coup. The old man is an old man, and it started by lying, saying that the coup was organized by, it was a national endeavor, was a national project, and it was majorly made up of Yoruba people and Easterners. The man is a liar, and age doesn't confer wisdom, apparently. But since we're not talking about that stuff today, we'll make it another day's topic. What we shall be talking about, though, is what has been uncovered by the EFCC in NNPC. Okay? And then we'll discuss other things as well. Before we get into all of that, if you're on TikTok, please power tap. Also like the page and click on the heart icon right here. If you're on TikTok, please join the team. Let's drop heart me's and drop gifts. I kind of like the way things are going. We've not started yet, so I'm seeing some gifts already. So thank you very much for your generosity. Let's all do the same so we can push the life together. Somehow, the algorithm pushes lives that have lots of gifts. That's how it is. All right. So share, and also if you're on YouTube, you can also power tap like we do here on TikTok. And for those on Twitter, we're glad you're here. Please repost and like as well. So we'll begin with this heartbreaking news because, when you begin to hear 38.66 billion naira, nothing could be more, things could be more heartbreaking, to be fair, but that's definitely heartbreaking news. And it's becoming commonplace in our country. And you hear figures like that. Some people just steal money that neither they nor their children would ever be able to spend the money. And by the time they share it, you're wondering, and that's why, it is well. And then such people are also going to be the ones insulting the government. But it was uncovered by the EFCC. I'm going to read the report. I'd like you to listen to a conversation that was had on this matter on TVC, Journalist Hangout. And I really, really like Mr. Babajide Otitoloju's perspective on this particular matter. But first, let me read you the report from Premium Times. All right. So it's the title, exclusive. 1 second. Brilliant. Exclusive, refinery maintenance fraud. EFCC recovers 38.66 billion naira and other properties. The Economic Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has recovered over 9.4 billion, 21.2 million. Sorry, I'll take that again. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has recovered over 9.4 billion naira, $21.2 million, and several landed properties in ongoing investigation into the alleged diversion of funds released for the rehabilitation and turnaround maintenance of Nigeria's refineries. Premium Times can report. Based on the Central Bank of Nigeria's official market rate of 1,380 naira per dollar, posted on Friday, the $21.2 million recovered is approximately 29.26 billion naira, bringing the total amount recovered so far to 38.66 billion naira. The recoveries are part of what investigators described as one of the most extensive probes into the management of billions of dollars committed to reviving the country's moribund refineries. Sources at the EFCC briefed on the investigations told this newspaper that the investigation centers on allegations of criminal conspiracy, breach of trust, diversion of public funds, economic sabotage, abuse of office, and money laundering involving officials of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, its subsidiary, the NNPC, Engineering and Technical Company Limited, NETCO, former and serving managing directors of the Port Harcourt, Warri, and Kaduna refineries, as well as major contractors, including Daewoo Engineering Nigeria Limited and Technimont SPA. To understand a bit more about this whole thing, I'd like to take a listen to Babajide Otitoloju on Journalist Hangout, himself and some other journalists on TVC. Take a listen, please.
Let's move straight to our next conversation. Anti-graft agencies intensify.
Questioned. How did we find that in just a space of 2 years for quick fix repairs, turnaround maintenance, and rehabilitation of the port? Contracts included approximately $740.7 million for Kaduna Refinery and Petrochemical Company, $492.3 million for Warri Refinery and Petrochemical Company, and $1.56 billion for the Port Harcourt Refining Company. But what can we talk about? Those refineries have been shut because they were operating at a huge loss, not because they were not producing. But when you get crude, you are supposed to process the crude that you got to other products like diesel, petrol, aviation fuel, and you will find out that what you get when you sell what you have produced is not even up to what you invested in crude oil. Then you have no choice. I was with the NNPC GCO a couple of days back, and I asked him that question. What was wrong with the Warri Refinery? Because the Warri Refinery is the most modern refinery that we have. And he told me what I've been telling Nigerians for long, that it wasn't that if the refinery was not working. And people working in that refinery, they can hear us say this thing. No staff has come out to say the refinery was not working at the time when it was shut. And Ojulari, the GCO of NNPC, said the refinery was working but operating at a huge loss. 2 refineries accounting for losses of about $500 million a month. Who is that person who will not shut those refineries? And why are they unable to produce and produce with profitability in mind, because we had not given them the attention that they deserved over the years. We have concentrated more on stealing the funds meant for those refineries. This government came and its goal was to get the refineries working. Port Harcourt began to work. The NLC president was taken there, and along with other people, they confirmed on TV that the refineries were working. The issue was not whether they were working or not. Warri refinery was working. But you brought in somebody with a corporate background, somebody who had worked at Shell and other places. You could see that they were recording humongous losses. It's not a fool. He then decided, no more. No more. Let's do a comprehensive rehabilitation of these refineries and bring them to profitability, not what we are doing simply for people to see that they are working, but they were recording huge losses, month on month, huge losses. So this is what it confirmed to me, that they were working, but the losses were intolerable. It is people like this who are stealing money meant for the for the rehabilitation of those refineries that brought us to that situation where those refineries are no longer able to work profitably. So there's no way you can describe it. This is economic sabotage, and these people deserve to go to jail. Once they are put on trial for sabotaging their own country, for destroying our heritage, for making it difficult for us to get refined products from our national refining assets, then they deserve no other place but the prisons. The prisons were built to put this kind of people there. Once they are put on trial and they cannot defend themselves, there's no other place that they deserve to be. They have to be taken to those prisons. I'm not even going to call them correctional center. Prison. Prison. That's where enemies of the state deserve to be.
That's true. That's true.
It's unbelievable, this kind of money. People will steal this kind of money, and you are wondering why we couldn't have profitable refineries. Look at Kaduna refinery. I grew up as a kid in Kaduna State. And as somebody who lived in Kaduna for years, I used to be happy just seeing the flaring from my house in Tudunwada. I will see the refinery fire. We knew at that time that it was working.
Okay.
Today, go to Kaduna, you will not see anything like that, which is the biggest evidence that the refinery has packed up. There's nothing happening there. It's such a terrible thing. It's so paralyzing reading this kind of stories.
I agree with you.
So paralyzing.
All right, BKO.
To steal 38.66 billion naira. I don't know any other place where people have the guts to steal money in this manner.
All right then.
Money that they can't even spend in 3 lifetimes. Come on.
All right then, BKO, let's go.
All right. I was about to Jide Kolade Otitoloju, speaking on Arise, speaking on TVC. This is TVC. It's a very sad thing. I mean, it's like it's bittersweet. Sweet that they were caught, or that they've discovered that amount of money. Bitter that would even take place, or that could take place in our country. And like I always say, once these things happen, that's when you then see people begin to speak English, and everybody suddenly becomes, oh, government is bad. Meanwhile, people who are saying government is bad may actually be the exact same people who are just destroying every chance to see things get better in Nigeria. So imagine, for instance, that there is no Dangote in this country. Sometimes it's important to also acknowledge the blessings that one has. So imagine all you're doing is just waiting for the refineries to produce fuel. Meanwhile, you're shouting like what happened in 2007. I'm always talking about it because it was the first time for me that I actually saw how people can sabotage not just fuel or refinery, but even themselves. When we're like, oh, we're not going to reverse the sale. I don't know if you remember that story. It was when Yar'Adua had become president, and NLC, TUC, and the rest of them went on the streets that they have to reverse the sale of the refineries. At the time, Dangote had bought a refinery. I think Famous Otedola was also involved. So Yar'Adua had to reverse the sale. All right. So here's the crazy part. While that was happening, people were working in those refineries. They were collecting salaries. They were retiring, getting pensions, getting gratuities. And I'm not saying they don't have the right to get all those things. Just that in a place where you're not really productive, you're still getting paid, but nobody really cared because the people at the top, the guys at the top, they were just enjoying themselves. Someone wrote $500 million per month. That's 6 billion naira per year. $500 million per month. I mean, if they give you $1 million in a year, at least, I think by and large, you will be all right. Am I okay? Like $1 million a month, it may not be a lot of money. What am I saying? $1 million a month is a lot of money. That's why a billionaire. They give you that in a year, you'll be fine, at least to a particular extent. Even if you are a glutton, you would at least be able to take care of yourself. $500 million on a monthly basis. Haba. I'm just glad that the EFCC has done this, and I hope that as they continue their investigation, they're going to uncover more of this kind of issues, and they'll also imprison people. Like, I mean, it's one thing to find all these things. In some cases, they'll have, plea deal bargain, and in some cases, they should actually get some people jailed. This is demonic, considering that all that money has gone into all these refineries, and you've not gotten a drop of oil that's actually worth anything. Anyway, that's that about EFCC. We move on to Arewa youth who wants dialogue with bandits. This person's name is Bature Abdul. He was a guest on News Central, and he said something that I didn't know that people still thought that way, but apparently, we are many in this country. Take a listen. So, we are many means that we're going to have different views. Take a listen to this, please.
I will always call on government should always consider dialogue. They should consider dialogue 100% with the bandit, because
government should consider dialogue with bandits.
It will go a long way. They need to look at the root. They should look at the root. They should know and try to check what are the solutions, what are the problems. Okay, let me call your attention, Mr. Depo. I don't know if you have seen what happened in Benue State, whereby a leader of a certain group was killed when he was invited for a peace dialogue. On his way going back home, he was attacked and killed. What will that result? Do you know that it's not every Fulani that are terrorists? Do you know that there is it's not even a proper whenever there is a conflict or there is any illegal activities for someone to attack the entire state or entire tribe or entire ethnic groups as terrorists? We still have good Fulanis that are ready to work with the government. We still have good Fulanis that are ready to help the military with tangible information. So I will always use this opportunity to call the attention of military. So military should use such people so that they will help us to end this issue of terrorism or this issue of attack or kidnapping people across.
All right, so here's the thing. A lot of leaders in the North have been saying exactly what this young person is saying. That's why I say that across Nigeria, we just need to do better, because you expect that young people will maybe make more sense, considering our parents sent us to school. And I don't know about you, but when my dad was still here with us, since he paid my tuition, school fees, he would call from time to time and ask me questions. What do you think about this? Wants to know my opinion, about certain matters. And of course, I mean, He paid for it by sending me to school. So apparently you expect that since many of us say we can speak English and we went to school, we should be able to provide better alternatives or better ideas when it comes to Nigeria's problems. 2007, after Arewa became president, something important happened. I'm sure you know the news of the amnesty program in the Niger Delta. As soon as that thing happened, I'll see if I can find you a report about it while I play another video much later. Conversations about why that same thing should be done in other parts of the country began. In other parts of the country, such conversations began across certain parts of Nigeria. That was when I began to notice that Nigerians need help. When you talk about federal character, right, the assumption that whatever is done in A must be done in B, and C must also have the same thing, even if they don't need those things, but they must also feel like at least they're not being cheated. So if you have a particular area where there's fire, or maybe fire has burnt something down, and then government goes there to intervene, something has to be done to another area where fire no burn anything. So if they like, they can go and have arson attack or just create something, a problem, so these two can also have something from the government to feel like, okay, you know what, we are all at the same level. It's insanity. It's insanity. There are things you don't need. At this point, I'm talking 2007, there was no Boko Haram. At least not, because even Yusuf had not died at the time. It was during Arewa tenure that Yusuf, the leader of Boko Haram, was arrested, and then eventually he died or was killed. I don't know whichever one, whichever side of the story you are on. The point is that he died, which is unfortunate, and then everything, skyrocketed. But the point is, as soon as that amnesty thing happened, people started talking about the fact that what's happening in the South should also happen in other parts of Nigeria. So, as a young person, I was wondering, why on earth would you want to have the same problem they're having in this place just because you want to have amnesty? Like, it makes sense. So you have peace. These ones have chaos. The chaos, turned Nigeria into, affected the economy of Nigeria. Because, of course, the oil of Nigeria's oil, which is a primary export commodity, was at risk. Like, we're losing money because we couldn't, extract as much and export as much. Therefore, they went through different things and they were like, you know what, we're just going to have a conversation with these guys and offer them amnesty, send some of them to school abroad. Some of them went to school in Warri, in different parts of Nigeria, settled them, and so on and so forth. You who have peace in your region, like, how can they do that for them? To be honest, hindsight is 2020. We can look back now and say maybe they shouldn't have had amnesty. But in the midst of that thing, they needed to do it because something had to give. But the crazy part is that conversation started in the north. I'll find you a report. I want to read your report. I'll do that while I'm playing the next stuff. Say in the north. Suddenly you start hearing about this is happening there, that's happening there, there's Boko Haram, there's that. And then what was the, like they say, body language of many of the people from the north? It was, last month, when this issue, the terrible crisis in Arewa local government happened with the kidnapping of those children, and everybody went on social media. We went out, even writing on this platform, and different people across Yoruba land, everybody was talking out, even outside the country. When Yoruba people just went online, started talking and started putting things out, and then the governor was, on his toes, and everybody. A young lady went on social media and did a video and said, why are you guys only talking about your state? How about our own space? How about Borno? Something similar happened. And I noticed something. I'm not going to tell her that she should not complain, and she has a right. That's our own way of also spotlighting the issues in Borno. However, what I noticed was that when the crisis in the north started, people were making excuses for Boko Haram. People were telling you why they really had skinny corn. There's a reason they are. There's always someone who is trying to explain to you. Now, you will always have that in every conversation, but you can't have them be the majority. who wouldn't say, you know what, this is a problem, needs to be fixed? You're just like, it's not like it's that bad now, until towards Feju is not so big that you're not even dealing with Boko Haram anymore. There's Boko Haram, there's ISWAP, there's banditry, there's all kinds of groups. And then years later, this is 2026, almost 20 years after the fact, you then wake up and you're like, yeah, you wake up and like, yes, there's Lakurawa, there are many now. And like, let's have conversation. See, is a problem because, but I don't blame him. Shebi, Peter Obi said he will have dialogue with bandits the other day. What dialogue do you think you want to have with bandits? What do you want to tell them? And sure, you can say what happened in Niger Delta, because when this whole thing started, it was about Niger Delta being the basis of this whole movement. What happened in Niger Delta, you can say, oh, they felt neglected, there was environmental degradation, all kinds of things happened. They were making money, a lot of money from Niger Delta, but very little was going back, even though some of the leaders too were complicit. You can say all of those things, right? It doesn't justify what they did, but at least you can understand the basis. What's the basis of what you are seeing in the north? The banditry attacks. What's the basis? And how do you really want to, what do you want to talk about? Now, if you talk about the fact that, yes, there's unemployment, there is out-of-school children, loads and loads of them in the north, there's poverty, those are issues, those are societal issues. But are you telling me, like, if you are being honest with yourself, what this young man is trying to tell us is that the reason there's banditry is poverty? I mean, is poverty a contributory factor? Yes. But that's how it also contributes to kidnapping. Should we also have dialogue with kidnappers? At this point, it looks like we'll just be having dialogue with everybody. So we have, agreement. So nothing is really criminal anymore, because we assume that everybody who is involved in criminal activity is actually protesting. So let's have dialogue. I don't know if that's how things should be. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe you can explain to me when the time comes for people to come up. I would love to learn. I want to understand the rationale behind this. And how does that actually stop, this whole thing? Okay? And I'm not saying that everything should just be kinetic. I understand the fact that you have to address real issues, right, in society. But I think that you can address the real issue in society and still deal with the criminals in society. You can't leave the matter and say things like, we're just going to talk to them so that we can fix the problem in Nigeria and that is it. No, you should fix poverty. You should get the children back to school. You should do everything you can do to ensure that people are, gainfully employed across Nigeria, but particularly in the north, because that's where banditry is, prevalent. But that doesn't mean that you just be saying, let's just have conversations with criminals. Let's just talk to them. That means that everybody that's doing something bad, we should be having dialogue with them. In my opinion, that's how it sounds to me. But I may be wrong. So when the time comes, when you come up, please feel free to explain to me, and maybe I will learn something on that matter. However, in that interview, he mentioned a man who was killed. Koboko says it is up to judiciary to decide who is or isn't a criminal. That's what I thought, though. That's what I thought. But be like, say, every time now we're supposed to be having dialogues. But we'll see how that plays out. Anyway, the president of, by the way, that's the president of Arewa Youth. His name is Dambature Abdul. That's the president of Arewa Youth. Quite interesting. Anyway, he mentioned the person who was traveling and then was, kidnapped and killed. I was talking about, 1 second. You must have seen this picture. Let me show. I won't show it to you. That's why I'm trying to pause. He was tied. His hands were tied behind his back, and then he was, summarily executed. All right. So that's the one. What he was talking about. However, based on the killing of this respected man in the Hausa community, he's actually Hausa, he's a Hausa man. according to reports I got. Someone wrote something here. His name is Mills Omar. He says, "We'll never forget the killing of the king of Gober, Mohammed Issa Bawa, by Fulani bandits after he attended a peace meeting with the Sultan of Sokoto, Saud Abubakar. According to the late king's family, Saud Abubakar never offered them condolences. For 3 weeks, the late king repeatedly pleaded for help, but no one came to his aid. Even after he was killed, they prevented the recovery of his body. Yet we are still told that we are all alone." This is from Mills Omar on X. Now, of course, they're saying it's bandits, all right? And when this news got out, the Sultan released a statement about what happened. Oh, sorry. I think I'm mixing it up. That's a different news report. Sorry. Let me read the report I was looking for. I just found it. He mentioned some. In fact, let me just play it so that we have that connection. So it doesn't look like disjointed conversation. Let me just play that clip again, and then I'll read this report to you from Sarah Reporters. I found the report I'm looking for. So take a listen to this all over again, and then we can move on.
Always call on government should always consider dialogue. They should consider dialogue 100% with the bandit. Because
government should consider dialogue with bandits.
It will go a long way. They need to look at the root. They should look at the root. They should know and try to check what are the solutions, what are the problems. Okay, let me call your attention, Mr. Depo. I don't know if you have seen what happened in Benue State, whereby a leader of a certain group was killed when he was invited for a peace dialogue. On his way going back home, he was attacked and killed. What will that result? Do you know that it's not every Fulani that are terrorists?
All right. So I'm going to tell you the link between what I'm about to read and what I read earlier. There is a link. Well, let's read this one. This is from Sarah Reporters. Sultan demands thorough investigation, justice over killing of Benue Magban chairman. The Sultan of Sokoto and chairman of the board of trustees of the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, Magban, Alhaji Mohammed Sahad Abubakar III, has called for a comprehensive investigation into the killing of the association's Benue State chairman, Alhaji Ardo Risku, insisting that all those responsible must be identified and punished in accordance with the law. The monarch made the demand while mourning the slain Magban chairman in a statement signed by the association's national president, Baba Othman Ngelzama. The Sultan expressed profound grief over Risku's death and extended his condolences to the deceased family, the leadership and members of Magban nationwide, as well as the people and government of Benue State. He described the late chairman as a respected community leader who dedicated his life to promoting peace, dialogue, and mutual understanding between pastoralists and farming communities. According to the statement, Risku was a courageous advocate of peaceful coexistence who consistently championed reconciliation and constructive engagement in the pursuit of lasting peace in Benue State. What does this have to do with the stuff I read earlier? Thank you for asking. As soon as the Fulani man was killed in Benue, Sultan released a statement. Some people in the north are now putting out other statements saying that when their own man was killed after visiting the same palace, that nothing came out. And that's why I was reading Mills Umar earlier. He said that when the Fulani bandits attacked this person, I was going for a peace meeting, at the Sultan's palace. Again, just stay with me. I'm reading stuff. Now, based on the fact that a lot of things have happened to other people in the north, right, that the people feel like they have not been hearing any stuff from the palace, from the Sultan on the matter. However, when this Fulani man was unalived in Benue State, the Sultan spoke up and talked about how everybody who was involved must be brought to book and brought to justice. And because of this, young people, particularly Hausa people, have now gone on social media And I think something is happening in our Sultan, by the way. Something is brewing. Something is brewing. They now began to question the Sultan and ask questions about the fact that how come when it was other ethnicities, you didn't really speak up, but now you're speaking up. So I read someone's account earlier. I want you to listen to some other people, and then you maybe at least feel their pain, and also we can discuss it if they are right or wrong. Okay, on this matter, it's just me observing because we're in Nigeria. All right. So let us listen first to this young lady, and then we'll listen to another young man. Take a listen to this.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, jama'a da fatan muna lafiya again. So ina ta gani ana ta maganan Sultan ɗin Sokoto, because ni tun kafin yanzu ina jin shekaru nawa da suka wuce.
I know you don't understand how I
Na
explain.
cire shi a kwakwalwa na daga sarkin musulmi da ke jagoranta nan. Saurara ban ce kowa ba, amma ni ina jin tun lokacin mulkin Buhari na saubatunsa as adili as wanda za a ce jagora mai adalci.
All right, I know you don't understand Hausa, but here's the crux of what she's saying. She's saying that the Sultan of Sokoto has never been a just leader, and that she had long accepted and seen him for who he is. So he's not surprised that he chose to spoke about Ardo, the man was killed, and not Sarkin Gobir. The Sarkin Gobir is the man whose picture I showed you earlier, who was a Hausa man. There's another report here from Abibu Yusuf Sondagi. Sarkin Gobir, who is purely Hausa, was invited for peace talk with Sultan of Sokoto, the grand patron of Mieti Allah. Magban, most suspicious organization across West Africa, which was declared terrorist organization by USA government on March 2026. Sarkin Gobir was forced, I can't confirm these things, I'm just reading what they wrote, was forced to sign an agreement letter that he would allow the Fulani to come to his territory and continue doing their thing by Sultan of Sokoto, but he refused. Immediately after the meeting, Fulani bandits kidnapped him on the road home, humiliated him on live camera before killing him. Mieti Allah, chairman of Benue State, was also ambushed and killed after a peace meeting he went to attend alongside his friend. Is that karma? That's another person's. But here's the point. Here's what I have learned as a Yoruba man, just looking outside in. And this goes to some of us. There was a conversation on Twitter a while back. I just mentioned it in passing. Where people were talking about faith over ethnicity. And it was a conversation among Muslims, right? That they were first Muslims and that being Yoruba comes next. Because, Islam says that everybody is a brother. Everybody is together. Here's the reality. The people who are teaching you that understand that ethnicity is supreme. Now, saying ethnicity is supreme, if I say, for instance, I'm Yoruba, I've said it several times. You don't have to say I'm Yoruba first. You don't have to. It's like if you ask me now, who are you first, father or son? I think it's a ridiculous question. I'm some people's father, but I'm also somebody's son. It depends on what is happening per time. But I can hold both and not feel that I have to drop one for the other. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. And I think a lot of people are simplistic in their thinking. So they're always thinking of this one has to come first, this one has to come first. And if you have to say one has to come first, especially the one you're saying has to come first, is not the one that is natural to you, there's a problem. Which one is natural? Your ethnicity. None of us was born with a religion or a faith. We were born Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, Tiv, Idoma. You were born into that group. You chose, therefore, I've been that from birth. well, you chose to be it now. Forget what they gave to you as a child, but you can't choose to not be Yoruba. But in reality, I don't even like to ask people such questions. Which one are you first, Christian or Yoruba, Muslim or Yoruba? It's an unnecessary question, in my opinion. Why? Because like I said, you can be both without having to choose. But if you have to choose, the one that comes natural to you, it's if you were not born into that ethnicity, you cannot join that faith. Why am I saying all this? The assumption that once I join a particular faith, all of us are brothers and my ethnicity does not matter anymore is a naive statement, and it's a very, very self-destructive statement. And what I've noticed is that those who champion that stuff among Yoruba people, they say with so much vim, but they are very naive. In their mind, they're discussing ideal situations, but how many ideal situations you really find in the world? How ideal is the world? This is, if you have to go back to 1804, which is not today's topic, and you study the jihad in the north, the Osman and Fodio jihad, you would, if you start thinking that all of that was a religious war, you must be a joker. There was very little that was religious about the whole thing. Very little. Religion was the tool that was used for an ethnic ambition or ethnic desire. And you know what? This is not to say it was good or it was bad. People use all kinds of tools to achieve whatever aim they want. But it will be wrong for a person in 2026 to just say, it doesn't really matter. We're all brothers. We're all brothers. Even in Christ. I'm a Christian. We're all brothers in Christ. It doesn't really matter. It does. That's why you have some people tell you that, how can you be a Christian and you talk so much about your ethnicity like this? In Christ, there is no Jew nor Greek. And I said, finish that verse. Somebody quoted that verse to me. So I said, you must finish the verse. Because people assume that when you speak like this, you don't know the Bible. You know what the scripture actually says? It says there is neither Jew nor Greek. There is no male nor female. There is no slave nor free. So I said, when you became a Christian, did you stop being a male? Did the gender just, pare? You just became genderless once you became a Christian. You were still a male. If you were a male, you were a male. If you were a female, you were still female. When it says that there's neither Jew nor Greek, there's neither male nor female, it's not saying that you no longer have gender, or you no longer have ethnicity. He's saying that when you gather like that, you don't use that as a base of anything you're doing. In other words, if I'm with a sister, I'm not saying that I'm a man and a Christian. This is what you must do. I'm a man. We're able to be together as co-heirs with Christ. It doesn't mean that when we're discussing the politics of our land, I'll be sitting down and telling you that there's no male or female, there's no Yoruba or there's no Jew or Greek. Because if you say there's no Jew or Greek, it means that ethnicity has been cancelled. How come in Revelations, the Bible says that all tribes and tongues will gather in heaven to sing praises to God? Where are they coming from if they're already been removed? These are the scriptures that they use to just say nonsense to people, and people I don't want to mention any particular sect, but we don't understand the faith. For most of us in Nigeria, I don't care what your religion is, most of us don't understand our faith. We're just joking around. That's why when I see people fighting over their religion, you ask the person, is insulting this other person's religion. His own religion doesn't know jack about it. We can insult another person's religion. When he now insults his own religion, he's obviously shouting. Hey. The truth about it, most of us, we need to learn, and we'll get there. Because ignorance is not exist. We can always conquer it with knowledge. So it's not a death sentence or anything. I'm just saying that people have a way of getting to us using religion. Oh, we are brothers in Christ. Why are you talking about these particular people? They're also Christians. If they're also Christians, how come they want to steal what belongs to me? It's when you begin to understand the difference between two statements that Jesus made. And I want to stay with Christian because I don't want to make it look like I'm going against Islam, but I'll still tell you what I want to say about Islam eventually. Jesus said, if somebody slaps you on the right cheek, you should turn the left one. So a lot of people say that it means that Christians are docile, right? They can just kick us about anyhow because you know what? Would just turn the other cheek. I mean, you can look at different interpretations of that particular verse, but let's even stick to the generally agreed upon interpretation that it means that you should turn the other cheek. that same Christ, now that time, in another context, he told his disciples, if you don't have swords, go and sell your cloak and buy a sword. Sell your clothes to buy swords, buy a weapon. The same one that told you that if they slap you, why? Context matters. If people are invading your city and you say they've slapped my right, I'll turn my left, you are dead, your children are dead. When you get to heaven, God will tell you are stupid. You cannot just use scripture and be talking rubbish. And I'm saying that to say that when people have conversations and say things like, which one are you? Are you Yoruba first or Muslim first? Number one, like I said, I don't like that question. I don't think it's necessary. If people nobody has to ask you, which one are you first? All right. You can't ask me, for instance, are you a son first or are you a father? If my mom needs my help and I can take care of, and my children can take care of themselves, I'm going to meet her. If my children are the priority in that moment, I'm taking care of them. She will wait. It doesn't mean I want one before the other. It just means priority per time. But at the end of the day, when it comes to, and this is where it's different from father and child and son, when it comes to politics, all these things can be tools, whether it's ethnicity or religion. But when it comes to identity, you've got to know where you belong. I said all of this to say this. When you have conversations and certain Muslims that they were doing the other day say things like, I'm a Muslim first, because everybody is my brother. That person is a very naive person. Because what you're doing is you are taking your eyes off the fact that if we are all Muslims first, how come you have only one chairman of NSCIA? And that person has to come from a particular ethnicity. You think it's based on the faith? It's based on identity, ethnic identity. How come, right, when the Fulani took over the north, how come they changed the structure of the north, not to put religious leaders, but to ensure that whoever was leading, whether under the guise of religion or whatever, that person was a particular ethnicity? Why didn't they allow any other person to just lead themselves? Why did they make sure the people that were leading were Fulani? Do I hate what they did? See, it's a game. The game is the game, and it was about 200 years ago. So, I mean, it's not going to happen now, hopefully, but it's the game. You are the one who's deceiving yourself if you say things like, oh, it doesn't really matter, just religion. You really think that, I mean, there were Muslims in Hausa land before Madam Fodio. There were Muslims in Kanuri. Fulani also went to Kanuri land now. They defeated them. They went to the Midwest, Middle Belt. They were defeated. That's why some of the games happening in the Middle Belt, they go back. It's not even about what's happening in Nigeria right now. There's a lot of history. There's a lot of memory at play. Whenever you see those crises they have, I mean, it's terrible. And that's why I always tell people that the crisis you see in the Middle Belt, and I'll spend some time. Sometimes I'll be in Jos. I'll be Kaduna. I've been in Kaduna a number of times when I'm having conversations with my friends, many of them Christians, and they say things like, this Muslim and Christian thing, we are fighting these people, they hate us and all. I'm like, do you really think this is a religious crisis? I mean, I'm not Hausa, I'm not Gbagi, I'm not this other one that was very popular. Many ethnicities, Southern Kaduna, for instance, has several ethnicities. I said to them, listen, I'm not of this place, so I don't know if what I'm saying would make sense to you, although I understand what you're going through, but this is what I think is happening. What you are going through is ethnic. You are using religion because it serves your purpose, not because the crisis is religious crisis. Have there been religious crises in the north? Of course. But the particular one where you're always having this recurring thing, where you're always fighting and fighting, is not religious. It's ethnic. The people that want your land don't want your land because you're a Christian. They want your land because of your ethnic identity. You didn't get the land because you're a Christian. You got the land because of your ethnic identity. Because that land is part of what makes you, your ancestral space. It's ancestral space, not religious ground. But you use religion because it serves your purpose. How? You are small. Amara. That's one of the group. Is it Amara? In Southern Kaduna. I'll see if I can remember the name. A lot of them some of them suffered this huge loss some years ago. Adara, thank you, Dr. Badru. Adara, that's one of the group. Many groups in Southern Kaduna. I said, a lot of you are small. like the groups are small. Okay, you can have ethnicities of like 1 million people. In some cases, less than 1 million. If you're Yoruba, you assume everybody is just, millions and millions of people. Not like that. Some ethnicities in the north, you go to Taraba, you have like 30 ethnic groups, small like that. So you have to find an identity that brings you together and gives you a voice. That identity is your religious identity. And using that to, ensure that there's a spotlight on the problem, there's nothing wrong with that. So you're saying that, because if you say it as 1 million people or 200,000 people, people may not even really see what's happening, or not 200, like 600, 800,000 people, 2 million people. They may not really want that. But if you see what they're doing to us, we are Christians, you are also a Christian, see what they're doing to your brothers here. So you're using religion to amplify your voices. I get that. However, at the core, this crisis is an ethnic crisis. All of that to say, when the outside people are getting angry and saying that you did not talk when our own people were killed or when our leaders were killed, but suddenly you are speaking out when somebody from your ethnicity was killed, it tells you that no matter what you want to do in this life, somehow that thing will always come up, especially around people who think that religion is the primary identity. You can use it as a tool. People use it as a tool. Hopefully you use it for good. But the point is, at the core of what's happening, people usually take their ethnicity very serious, including the people that are teaching you that ethnicity does not matter. You will be very naive to assume that because somebody is from the north and is a particular faith, we are brothers. Okay, we are here. You understand that during some of those crises in the north, Yoruba people were also kids. Some of them were Muslims. You have to be very careful. This doesn't mean that you should suspect Northern Muslims. Of course not. I don't even have to be a Muslim. I think personally, and you may not agree, but this is my opinion. Apart from waiting religion if make people do, Northerners are the easiest people to get to work with, in my opinion, in my experience, and in other people's experiences. I've noticed that they're easy to work with, they're easy to get along with. Hausa people particularly. Okay, we don't turn on religion and say everything will just be bang, 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 bang. But generally speaking, they are easy. They are easy going people. So whether I'm a Muslim or I'm a Christian or I don't have, I can easily acknowledge that without feeling like there's some people are discovering now. It took a while. It took them over 200 years. And I will make a prediction. I don't want to call it a prophet be enough to keep them. Now, again, I'm not here to advocate for Hausa people. I wish them all the best, apparently, because they need all the support they can get. But my primary goal of talking about this thing is to Yoruba people, particularly those who, either you're a Christian or a Muslim or a traditional religion, and everybody does it. The traditional worshippers, one came the other day. May God give us understanding, said the Yorubas there's some people in Brazil, they venerate the Orisha, and they are more Yoruba than the Yoruba people in Nigeria because those ones are Christians and Muslims. Like, so goni. What kind of rubbish is that? So suddenly, because somebody has embraced the faith, is now number one. When did the phrase more Yoruba? When did this start in Yoruba land? When did you start saying somebody is more Yoruba? It's a very ridiculous statement. It doesn't make sense. Nobody is more Yoruba than anybody. I am not more Yoruba than an atheist. Is he Yoruba? My family is royal family. It doesn't change anything. The person who is the most, I don't want to say most common person or the least in society is as Yoruba as a king. All this can come more, somebody is more, nobody is more Yoruba than anybody. Whether you're a Christian or our identity has nothing to do with religion. That your faith is important, but it's private. And it can be public, but it doesn't determine other people's identity. It doesn't even determine anybody's identity. Yorùbá sọ pé àwọn àgbààgbà àwọn bàbá wa sọ pé ikú tó ń pa ojúgbà ẹni òwe ńlá ló ń pa fún ni. When you see what's happening in the north, it's not to say, oh, see what they're doing, see what they're doing. Now they're coming for the Sultan. That's not the point. The point is you. What can you learn from what's happening in the north? What can you learn from what the outside people are saying? Are they not Muslims like them? So how come they are not being treated the same way? That's the question. And how do you make sure that you can be brothers with people regardless of their religion, but you also understand self-preservation? So that you not shile kunfole, you not do this thing where anybody can come because we are brothers in Christ, or we are brothers in Islam, or we are brothers in something. I love everybody with the love of the Lord, but this house, this land, it's preserved for the next generation, and they will be our people. Especially in Nigeria, where a lot of clowns are going around the place, trying to steal things from people. All of that to say, Yoruba people, we have no divisions. There's no more Yoruba than nobody's more Yoruba than anybody. Your faith is important to you. What they are teaching you should also help society. Don't come and destroy our society with whatever you are learning in your religion, regardless of your faith, including everybody. Okay? However, this land, you have a duty to this place. I don't care whether you believe in something or you believe in nothing. You have, as a Yoruba person, you have a duty. It's like your house. Do you leave your gates open at night because you are an atheist? No, now. You still close your gates. Whether you're a Christian or you're doing traditional worship, traditional religion, or you're doing Islam, you will close your gates. That's how you have to also protect your land. It is our land. So, and all these divisions, it happens. We have to nip it in the bud, okay? Anyway, like I said, the Hausa people are beginning to ask questions. And this is another video from a young man who is also a Hausa man.
Of Sokoto, demand toll roof.
Let me raise it up just a bit. Let's start all over again.
So Sultan of Sokoto demand toll roof, investigation justice over killing of Miete Allah, chairman in Benue State. My brothers and sisters, as you all hear, that Sultan of Sokoto demand toll roof, investigation justice over killing of Miete Allah, chairman in Benue State. So as you all know, Nigeria have been facing insecurity every day. But Sultan of Sokoto has always said that Nigerians should pray. Nigerians should pray. And Nigerians should make a fasting so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come and take this action for us. I don't think if Sultan of Sokoto have said this type of things, will come today and demand for justice for his Fulani brother. The reason why you people think I'm against Fulani is that Fulani are similar to the problem of Nigeria, of Arewa, and we have to tell ourselves the truth. When other people are dying every day, Sultan of Sokoto have never said anything. People just died in Sokoto just 3 days ago. Sultan have never demanded justice for them. You only say that Nigeria should pray, Nigeria should do a fasting so that Allah will take action. For Sultan, they killed his brother Fulani, but Sultan of Sokoto now come out today to say Nigeria should only investigate, that the government should investigate, or investigate over killing of his brother, Miete Allah, president in Benue State. You people have to know that this is not the first time Nigerians are being killed. This is not the first person on alive in Nigeria or Benue State, but Nigeria. If we want this thing to all stop, government should take action to end insecurity in our country. And I have seen many people, many Fulani influencers, saying that the people of Benue are the people who killed Ardu Risku, Alhaji Ardu Risku. You people should know that there is insecurity. There is bandit, kidnappers, Boko Haram in the country. So you people should not be saying that it's people of Benue that kill Alhaji Ardu Risku. No. You people have to believe that there is insecurity everywhere. As we all said, it's not only Fulani. So you people should believe that it's bandits or kidnappers or Boko Haram or terrorists that kill the Miete Allah chairman. That is all. Aluta continue. You people should stop blaming anybody. Just this person is not the people of Benue that kill him is terrorists. Whether they are from Benue or that they are terrorists. Anybody that kills person is a terrorist. So do not blame the people of Benue. The people of Benue are not even involved in this issue. It's terrorists. So everybody knows terrorists are everywhere. Oyo State, Niger State, Abuja, Kogi, Nasarawa, Jos, Gombe, everywhere, Zamfara, Sokoto, Katsina, everywhere is affected with insecurity, and everybody can be fine in Nigeria. I think just last 2 weeks, the army general was dead in the hand of terrorists, of bandits, and nothing happened. So why you people cannot take Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the person that take his life? Nothing more than that. These are terrorists. Those terrorists that killed me at Allah president, they are fighting for their freedom. To negotiate with them, to sit down with them, to ask them what they need, to give them education so that they will not kill a Fulani again.
You can criticize the young man. You can say that, oh, why is it making light it wasn't even making light the issue of, Elijah Ado, the Risco man who was killed. That's not what he's doing. But you may wonder, like, why is he talking like that? It's because they are discovering that this thing is not just about, faith or religion. Because when it happens to others, everybody should pray. But when it happens to particular ethnicity, justice must be served. Because it's now closer home. All of that should remind us, especially Yoruba people. I'm not doing this to say, oh, I also apply this. My job is not to tell you, oh, look at this Fulani, see what they are doing. To understand how to build our own society. Interestingly, a professor, Mbo, I was an officer, I would have loved to play you a video, or Professor Riba. There's a new movement now, just in case, I think I should also mention it. There's a new movement that's called Hausa Zala. It's the Hausa Renaissance movement. They are talking about taking back the land. 1 second, please. All right. So there's a movement in the north is going on now. They also are trying to get back their place, their land, or at least have representation in Nigeria's politics. They are saying that they are not the ones representing themselves. And like I said, my goal really is not to say whether they should do it. I mean, they're doing whatever they should. However, there's a video that was trending. Of course, in Hausa, so I'm not going to play it. There's a man called Professor Riba who called on government to crush the Hausa Renaissance movement. That's Hausa Zala. He claims that the movement is causing the division in the north. And this man, Bahushe Zala, then says the irony is that in the same breath, the professor calls on the government to negotiate with the Fulani terrorists instead of fighting them, claiming they were wronged and are taking revenge. He urges people to do justice to the Fulani terrorists and stop calling them terrorists. So it is the pro-Hausa anti-terrorist movement that is causing division, not the Fulani terrorists. Where do these people get the audacity to spit this much rubbish? That's from Baushe Zala. The important thing is that the North is having the conversation that they needed to have had a long time ago, but it's better late than never. I wish them good luck, and I hope that the region, they organize something. And I think that's also what perhaps folks who are leading should also understand, that sometimes, and this may sound a bit patronizing, but sometimes tokenism has its own place. I won't say more than that. Because if people feel like they're not represented at all and are just taking everything, then it's got to look around. Most of the out-of-school children in Nigeria are in the North. Many of them are Hausa. By the way, let me just say this as a Nigerian. Let me move away from Yoruba for a second. If you're from the North and you do this pontificating where you're like, oh, there's nothing wrong with Almajiri, I remember there was a conversation I was part of a couple of years ago. The guy was like, he's a PhD holder, he's in the UK, he was also at Almajiri when he was a younger person. And I was like, and then that there's nothing really wrong with the structure in society and so on and so forth. And I was like, how can you be like this? You are glamorizing poverty and dysfunction. If you talk about, again, we'd like ideal situations in Nigeria, ideal, not any, and it doesn't make sense. You are staring problem in the face, but you'll be like, ideally, this is how it should be. But this is not how it is. So how are you going to fix it? No answer. Just be telling us that they should find a way to do it. And that's why when Jonathan came with his Almajiri school, it didn't work. Millions of dollars sunk into that project. Nothing came out of it. Why? The culture culture will eat your strategy for breakfast. That's from Peter Drucker. But it's true. Anyway, one of the things that the Hausa is saying is that they're different from Fulani, and they are. But I hope the leadership in the North also finds a way to give them a sense of belonging, because, that will make it a lot better. You know what? So it doesn't look like I'm just reading. In case you understand Hausa, at least you'll be able to make out some of the things that the man is saying. You may not agree, but I think it's fair to listen to this. Take a listen, please. Just a little bit of Hausa, then I'll move on.
Uwa sako na yau shine kira ne zuwa ga mutanen arewacin Najeriya da kuma gwamnatin Najeriya gaba daya da gwamnonin arewacin Najeriya da saura masu ruwa da tsaki a wajen tafiyar da Najeriya da kuma arewacin Najeriya. Akwai bukatar ɗaukar mataki kwakwara.
So it's Hausa, and most of us don't understand Hausa, but that's the crux of the matter. One of the Hausa influencers, his name is Abibu Yusuf Sondangi. He wrote something on his page. It says, "One people, one heritage, a call for Hausa unity." A Hausa Muslim, a Hausa Christian, and a Hausa follower of traditional religion are all children of the same heritage. When I saw that line, I just thought of us. We must never lose this as Yoruba people. So he says, before religious differences, they share a common language, history, culture, ancestry, and identity. They are bound together by the legacy of their forefathers, and by a future they must build together. So the guy went on to talk about how religion should not be the basis of their identity. And then somebody comes along, his name is Tahir Ibrahim. He says, we are Muslim. We don't care which tribe you are from. Then our people's response is actually quite harsh. It says, is it Islam that ordered you to kill, kidnap, rape, and dislodge Hausa towns and villages across Hausa land? Tahir responds, never. But we are Muslims in any way. I don't have thought of Jahiliyyah. The people says you ignore Jahiliyyah and believe in terrorism. Anyway, the point is, let's not lose what we have. That's what I'm trying to do with this. Let's not lose what we have. Because it looks like some people want to use with all this nonsense they are doing on social media. And it's beyond social media, by the way. I see it in all the faith, by the way. I don't do all this thing of they've been doing this to some people before, now they're doing it back. It doesn't make sense. It just makes you feel better, your ego. I don't care about your ego. We can't lose what we have. We should be careful, and we should all do better and respect each other as Yoruba people. Not really moving on. We've been talking about state police for a while, our regions, but particularly in the southwest, because for some reason, it is what it is. They've been lauding the president and saying how good, and the Senate and the House of Representatives, and praising them for, this very thoughtful piece of legislation. Certain people have nothing but condemnation. The other day we read what Peter Obi said, where he said that the whole idea of state police is to rig next election, or that I could rig next election, that I should wait till after, which of course, again, with all due respect, is senseless. Considering there is no way you're going to have state police operational in the next 6 months. It's not possible. We've gone through the timelines, we've gone through the roadmap and everything. So if you watch our previous videos, you'll see there. Anyway, Peter Obi is not alone. However, I'm a bit disappointed, because if you're from the north, considering everything that's happening in the north, with banditry and Boko Haram and ISWAP and ISIL and all kinds of Lakurawa and all kinds of killing, when you hear about this kind of thing, I would have thought that you would support it. But that's just my thinking, apparently. We have an elder from Hausaland, from the north. Someone I actually respect, because they say some interesting things that you can learn from. But sometimes people miss it. And I think in this particular interview, Buba Galadima missed it. He was a guest on Arise News, and this is what he had to say about state police. Please take a listen to this. Can you fair play? Just a second, please. This is weird. We'll play this, I'm trying to work on it. It's a very sad situation where you talk about different things that people can do better. You talk about, people should stop our Almajiri. They'll give an excuse why it should continue. And now you're talking about state police, and all you have is just to criticize. I'm going to play from this other device. For some reason, I can't see it from there. Give me a second. I know what to do.
Well, Rufai, you should know that nobody ever conceived the idea of state police to sort out security. If the Nigerian police, if the Nigerian military cannot solve security situations in Nigeria, I wonder how the state police would be able to do that. All that we know is that the president and the governors are looking for state police before the elections, so that they use them as political thugs to attack the opposition and disrupt the election and kill democracy. I want people to know, and I was adult enough to see what had happened during the Native Authority Police. When elections approach, 3 months to election, the Native Authority Police will gather all the opposition elements in their territorial jurisdiction and lock them up. Some of them, they will just say, oh, you've abused the emir, or you've abused the chief, or you've abused the judge, or that you are wearing shoes when your village head was seated on the chair. Then they will clamp all of them into detention. And I want to tell you that most Hausa people that you see all over Africa and all over Nigeria were a spillover of the misuse of the Native Authority Police in states like Kano, Katsina, in fact, in northern Nigeria, that is why they had to run for their dear life to hide elsewhere. So this is something that really, and definitely, not only that, the state police could be used to even destroy the unity of this country. Because if there are certain states that only one tribe or only one religion will constitute the state police, such that other people from other parts of the country will have no liberty to live and do their businesses as enshrined and guaranteed by the Constitution. For me, it will then. Yes. All right. You should know that.
Very quickly, number one, is it true that native authority, the police that they had in the north were used by the political establishment to fight the opponent? Yes. But guess what? I am not a northerner. Right? They're going to push people out of their land and then people will not be able to take advantage of Kinikon. It's possible, but I am not a northerner. And this is the issue in this country. The idea that everything that happens in one place must happen in the other place. Nobody is forcing anybody to have state police. If you think, and some of the points he raised are actually legit, they're valid. Like, there are some people, if you make it a religion, they'll not allow some other religions, they'll be discriminating. Maybe you do it in your religion, it's okay. But how things work is those who want to do it should be allowed to do it. And then when you get to a point where you have excesses, you now go back to the safeguards that the guardrails that you have. Yeah, safeguard or guardrails, same thing. That you have to ensure that, you don't have such excesses, and then you curb the excesses. But if you think you're not able to do it, say, oh, the Nigerian army cannot do it, Nigerian police force cannot do it. So what we want to do, we want to have it in our land. Maybe we'll free some people so that they can come and help you in your own part of the country. In other words, this law, and I think it's important for people to know this, it is not a decree that every state should have state police. It is just a provision that those who want to have state police can have them. And of course, there's an assumption we have to be part of the conversation before you now have the law. But it's not that once you have that conversation, you must have state police. Nobody's saying you must have it. So perhaps folks in the north need to calm down. You may not need it. And it doesn't make you less or more. It just means that you don't need it. Those who need it should be allowed to, have what they want. Because I don't know why we should allow ourselves to be going back and forth because you have an experience in the north. What's my own business about the fact that something happened in your territory based on your own culture? What if it doesn't happen in my own place? Must I now subject myself to your own issues based on your experience that is unique to you and did not happen in my space? That's the point. Does that mean I don't care? Sincerely, I don't care to the point where you don't care about my own issues. I care for you to the point where you care for yourself. Like, okay, may God bless you, may God help you. But if you're telling me that what I want to put in place to take care of myself is a problem because it's not going to work in your context, why should I care about that? Why not just find a way to take care of yourself? I want to use this one to take care of myself, and we can all be happy and live happily ever after. Anyway, while it was said that on Arise TV, that same Arise TV, they gave us a report of bandits. No, I'll come back to the one in Benin Expressway. That'll be much later. I'm coming back to that. There's a news report from Sahara Reporters, right, of who were writing NECO exam to your long. They're writing NECO and they were abducted. I'm very sure some people also spoke against JTF, civilian JTF back in the day. You know how we can sit on armchair and just talk? You don't feel the pain of the people. You are just making up problems for solutions. You don't create solution for any problem. You only need to look for a solution like, okay, what problem can I create for this solution? Then you now begin to pontificate. People who are suffering, you think they care about your English. Sarah reporters. Breaking. Boko Haram storms Borno community, abducts candidates taking NECO exams. Taking NECO exam, kills teacher. Very sad. This was yesterday, by the way. Suspected Boko Haram terrorists on Monday stormed. The report is from yesterday. What happened was on Monday. Suspected Boko Haram terrorists on Monday stormed Lassa town in Askira Uba local government area of Borno State, abducting students sitting the ongoing National Examinations Council NECO examinations and several teachers and killing at least one teacher. The attack occurred on a busy market day, throwing the community into chaos as heavily armed insurgents, said to be dressed in military camouflage and riding motorcycles, reportedly swept through the town unchallenged. Eyewitnesses told Sarah reporters that the terrorists targeted the community while students were sitting their NECO examinations, whisking away an unspecified number of candidates and teachers to an unknown destination. Sources said at least one teacher was shot during the assault, although the exact casualty figure remains unclear as residents continue to search for missing persons. I mean, that happened, but there's good news though. I want to find you that good news. The good news is that I think either this group or another group they were released. What's the word now? That's the word. Give me a second. I'm going to read that to you. This country, how can you have all these problems in your land? And all you are saying is that, you know, if they have this thing, it's going to cause problem. It's going to cause division. Where's the unity you have right now? Thank you, Dr. Badru. Sometimes in English, rescued is what I was looking for. It is what it is. Anyway, let me read your report, the good side. So I tried not to bore you with bad. It's bad enough. So let's find some good news. Abducted Zamfara woman, Nana Batula, regains freedom with her children. Nana Batula, the wife of Sagir Umar, who was abducted alongside her children following a deadly bandit attack in Safi local government area of Zamfara state, has regained her freedom alongside her children. The family was abducted on June 1, 2026, after armed bandits reportedly attacked their community and killed Sagir Umar during the invasion before taking his wife and children away. According to reports, Nana Batula and her children were released on Wednesday evening after spending weeks in captivity. Details surrounding their release remain unclear at the time of filing this report, as authorities have yet to provide an official update on whether a ransom was paid or if a security operation led to their freedom. Residents of the area had lived in fear following the attack, which formed part of a broader pattern of insecurity affect mentioned, but please feel free to throw more light on that. So that's a little sliver of just leave north for a bit and come home to the southwest. Bandits attacked travelers on Shagamu Benin Expressway and they kidnapped 5 people. That's the bad news. The good news is that 24 hours later, Ogun and Lagos security team, Operation Kosaye, they rescued all 5 victims, they killed 4 kidnappers, and arrested 88 suspects in area J4 Forest. I want to clap. I'd like you to listen to the report on Arise News. Please take a listen to this.
In Ogun State, fear gripped the Shagamu Benin Expressway after gunmen ambushed vehicles at Ogbere on Thursday afternoon, shooting sporadically, forcing 5 passengers from 3 different vehicles deep into the forest, demanding ransom of up to 15 million naira. Here are some eyewitness accounts.
J4 Express Road, Bandits, Wallahi, lots of life Express Road,
now take me back to they rejected me, reached three hospitals. That woman for police station got sick. Now carry me back to this general hospital.
Now we're told that within 24 hours, Operation Koshaye struck back. Over 300 police officers from Lagos and Ogun commands stormed area J4 Forest, killing 4 kidnappers, arresting 4 more, and rescuing all 5 victims unharmed. In total, 88 suspects, right victims unharmed. In total, 88 suspects were arrested across both states with AK-47 rifles, pump-action guns, and ammunition recovered. Governor Dakwa Abiodun commended the IGP for the intelligence-driven operation, as did Governor Sanwo-Olu of Lagos. Operation Koshaye means no space for criminals. And this weekend, that name lived up to its promise.
So, Koshaye, like, there's no space for police personnel from Ogun State and Lagos State, where they met before the operation. It was from Ogun State and Lagos State, where they met before the operation. It was quite nice, it was a show of force. It was really good in that forest called Area J4. So that's good news. And there's another good news I'd like to quickly share, and that's something that the governor of
December 2022, we drove with him to Benin in 2022 December. Mr. Charles, I put it to you. You can even come to Kano tomorrow. You go to Benin without a police escort. That is a sign of progress. You talk about farmers. Right. In Benin before I became governor, this is facts, and you can cross-check with Wodia, or if you don't want to come to Kaduna, cross-check with their own correspondent in Kaduna tomorrow, very early, and he will tell you. Benin because of insecurity, have not seen 1 kilometer of completed road in almost 2 decades. But today, we are constructing 36 kilometer asphalt road. You know by who? By CGC. The same company constructing most of the projects roads in Abuja. That's the same company constructing 36 kilometer of asphalt road that cut across 72 communities within Benin. Until this moment, the CGC have not reported any issue of insecurity. So you are talking about, just telling you that we've literally got 3 minutes. Yes, so I will tell you. Okay.
And so I'm concerned about time trying to interrupt.
So now let me conclude quickly. Yeah. The issue of insecurity, I can tell you, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, put it down, will win the North. Even he will get more votes in northern Nigeria. Because I give you an example of Benin that was an epicenter of insecurity. This story goes to many other parts. Right.
Talking about the security reality of Benin Kebbi, is that what they call it? Benin Gwari. All right. Interestingly, I also like the way he answered that question when he says people said. I don't like that people said. The only place where you hear people are saying, primarily Arise. There are people always come. People said, but I'm glad that he answered that question about
to weaken or
about Tinubu's chances winning the next election. So while that is about security in the north, there's something else from the southeast. And this time is a guy called Chukwudi, who is known as a businessman in the cosmetics industry. But apparently he does something else apart from selling cosmetics. Take a listen to this.
Which part of Info?
And if what happened on that day?
That's after I closed my shop.
Which shop?
I started getting.
What do you do?
Cosmetics. Cosmetics.
Okay, go ahead.
So Obina called me that time.
Who is Obina?
That's the guy that.
Your brother now? Yeah. Why do you know him?
The guy is doing Arewa.
Okay. Go ahead.
So the guy is coming that day. So he meets over outside that express road with some
His real name. His real name. Just go on. Their names.
So the to that want to take
I mean, the thing is long. The long and short is that the man is a kidnapper, but he sells cosmetics apparently. And did I say apparently? But he claims that he sells cosmetics. And I think it's probably the MO of some people. But we're glad that he was caught. The man is from Ebonyi. And you'd expect that even though what he's doing is wrong, his people, will not, what's the word now? His people would take things like that out on Ebonyi people. But there's a news report.
29, if I'm not mistaken. Combined Bagana Chamber. Newe North and the Otoro Central. Watalandia from Ebonyi State. Now, then, Pomo on Nata. Never own Febana and Nefa. Now, must take a child level. For how much? Mandana Momanek.
I don't understand how Igbo, or what's saying basically is that they're selling, contaminated momo, and that's the reason they're telling them to go back to Ebonyi.
Look at if I
mean, what's happening here is actually very terrible. But you expect that, they will be, remanded, taken before a judge rather than being told to go back to Ebonyi State. I wish you could see, this place is terrible, where they are making the pomo, and the pomo is contaminated. But I don't think they should be saying that people should go back to their states, considering they are all Igbos after all. Alright, so Jesus is Lord. You see this thing, it will make you feel like throwing up. The entire place is dirty and so on and so forth. And the point I'm trying to make sure is that these people did something wrong, and instead of their people to talk about what they've done, they decided to tell them to go back to Ebonyi. I hope they settled their matter. This will be submission of the roads that are being constructed across this country. The federal government has approved road projects worth over 3.94 trillion naira. But before I read that report, I want you to listen to this gentleman who tried to respond to Peter Obi. Take a listen to this. I don't know why this thing is not. So I was supposed to send it from one device to the other, but for some reason.
Contest for presidency. But I beg, it would make it, they also use sense to they talk some kind of things when they talk. And it also good making followers also get more sense. Because today I see one post when Peter Obi make. I don't know the day when he make it, but now today now I see him. They say government not supposed to do new roads. Make them go repair old ones first. Make them not do new roads. And then all the supporters, they happy say, Peter Obi don't talk one thing. You can go take picture for some bad portions for Benin, Asaba, Onitsha Expressway. You can't use that one as propaganda. But his main argument is that's why he's saying, may they not do new road. May they first repair old ones. Really, me, I be Niger Delta. Me, I be Creek person. A Creek are from home. And the Lagos Calabar, the new Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, when Tinubu they do, it is sweet us. They sweet us. You know why? Because our area don't lack development over time because of lack of link and access roads. Take communities for inside the coastal riverine, areas of the Niger Delta. Let's take a community like Okereokoko. Let's take a community like Ogulaha. Anyone where you know where you want to mention. If you get project for there, or you want to build a house, or you want to do anything, the highest way if you get na sand, where if you get easily na sand, because you can mine sand, you can dredge sand from the rivers. But if you buy cement, 1 trailer or 2 trailer, 3 trailers of cement, and you dey go Kerekonko, you dey go Ogula or Woye, you go carry the cement from wherever you buy them, land for, let us say, MPA jetty for Warri. You can't discharge them. Then you can't load again for boats. Then you can't go 3, 4, 5 hours, depending on the community where you go. Then when you reach there, you can't discharge them from the boat, go ground. Then you can't also load them again from that ground to the sites. Then you go reach the site and you can't discharge again. That one don't give you almost like 5 costs. Now so you go do for cement, now so you go do for granite, now so you go do for road, now so you go do for anything where you want to do construction for that place. So it's very difficult for investors to come in because the cost is 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times what you get for upland. But as they do this new coastal road, so you go reduce the cost by half. I want to reduce the cost even more than half for some communities. So we begin to create those link and access road to the coastal and riverine communities. Now from there, development will begin come. So we do this, we do that. They call up, call Tompolo, call Asari, Dokubo, abuse everybody. What it make everybody they provoke? We they produce resources for the country, but we not get development because we not get access. Forget about whether government come build factory, government not build factory. Individuals cannot even come and invest because it's tough. If they invest, who will even come there, come back? Because no link, no access road. So that they build new road for us. There's somebody when they talk saying one contest presidency say, no, they're not supposed to they build new road first. May they repair old one. Go take picture for Bini Asaba Onisha Expressway. Some bad portions. Not, there's construction going on that road now as we talk. Oh, there's repair going on the road though. Everybody knows that oh. But it was convenient for Peter Obi to go take picture for one bad portion where they never repair to talk say oh everywhere bad. Meanwhile, reconstruction or rehabilitation is going on right now as we speak. Those in Asaba we know that reconstruction or rehabilitation is going on right there. But go take picture for one place. Then consider government bad because government they do new road, they never repair old ones. Then we, when they do the new road for, we not make we take her like that, say Peter B don't talk well. Then when I come say, okay, this country where you talk, let me say you just cook one may will return to stone age. May they just repair that one, they may they not do new ones. Then all the thing when Peter B people get to do now just to abuse you, you are crazy, you are stupid, are you normal, you go rehabilitation, you must go to psychiatric, no sabi talk. You cannot even engage an argument. I'm giving you facts. As they talk so, for Delta State, for instance, Delta State when I come from.
I mean, okay, so they are happy.
Bridge.
They've done bridges. They've done this, they've done that.
In riverine communities, they do Abuakara Bridge when link inner riverine communities. As they talk so, the Transwario de Shakiri Road,
where they don't they complete so. Now about 20 point something kilometers. 15 bridges now you carry 15 bridges for 20 point something kilometer road. Wow. If they say they not remove subsidy and then the states begin get more allocation, they're not going to fit do them. They're not fit. Because I want to do 20 point something kilometer road where carries 15 bridges. The same way there's conversation now. They want to do road from Okerekoko to Escravos area and all those inner coastal and riverine communities. Now 70 kilometers road. That road now 70 kilometers. It carry 29 bridges. 29. So almost every 2 kilometer bridge day, almost every 2 kilometer bridge day. Those are new roads where they want to build for us. And we they happy. There's somebody who say want to be president and say no, may they not do new road. And then I think say we go reason with them. And then he follow as they talk, the Yano Pata. Is it like Peter B is not aware of the country that he wants to preside over or something? He doesn't understand the issues that affect the people in different places. He doesn't care about for him to talk the way when they talk, and then people they clap for him because say in our Peter B, they talk with one kind of small voice. I bet me now take it easy. I'm ready for now.
All right, it's easy long. Let's just stop here at this point. Why did I play this clip? It's not because he said somebody is speaking, but it's that they are real human beings that these projects affect. And when you, maybe for whatever reason, perhaps because it's not going through your region, which is ridiculous considering the fact that there are other projects going through your region, maybe the road is complaining about is literally being reconstructed. The road is being rehabilitated, reconstructed, and then you go there, take a portion, go to one portion of the road and they take a picture and then go on social media and say the government should not be building, they just be fixing old roads. That's kind of response that you need, because you now hear people whose, lives are directly affected by such projects. And more projects are coming up, God willing. I'm going to play you a clip from a conversation with the Minister of Works, Engineer David Umahi. But before I just give you a little overview, President Tinubu approves 27 road projects worth over 3.9 trillion naira across 15 states. The projects cover Adamawa, Benue, Cross River, Ebonyi, Ekiti, Kogi, Kwara, Lagos, Niger, Ondo, Osun, Oyo, Plateau, Taraba, and Yobe states. And it's a long list of roads. And I think rather than reading it, I'll just let you listen to the Minister of Works as he talks about it. Take a listen, please.
Today, the FEC ratified a presidential approval, given for augmentation on a project in Garam, Guri, in Yobe State. The FEC approved additional 15 billion because that project was awarded in year.
Hope you can hear. It's a bit low.
The total length was 32.2 kilometers and the cost was 40 billion. So 15 billion is being used to review it because of the price increase.
So the recording is a bit low. The video itself is a bit low. So I'm just going to read some of those things to you. 23 road projects across Adamawa, Taraba, Ebonyi, Kwara, Cross River, Kogi, Lagos, Niger, Oyo, and Plateau. That will cost 12.078 trillion naira. 409 kilometers dual carriageway project in Niger State. That will be taken over by Dangote Group. It's going to be reinforced concrete and it's based on the tax credit scheme. The worth of that 409 kilometer dual carriageway project is 1.8325 trillion naira. There's 32.2 kilometer road project in Gashua, Yobe State. That will be 15 billion naira augmentation. The second phase of Yola Fufore Gurim Road, additional 20 kilometers in Adamawa State at the cost of 15.246 billion naira. Lagos Ibadan Expressway, operation and maintenance concession plus reconstruction of failed Ibadan approach with reinforced concrete. All right. I'm going to just see if I can read everything here. So what's happening essentially is that a lot is going into both the old road. So like I said the other day, this Peter B is not a very honest person because you can build new roads and fix old roads as well. I'm going to read you a list. It's long, but I think it's cool. 1.8 trillion naira for the re-awarding of the 409 kilometer dual carriageway. I mentioned that earlier. That's the one that Dangote Group is doing under the tax credit scheme. 276 billion naira for the dollarization of Ilorin Ogbomosho Road. 265 billion naira for the reconstruction of Iseyin, Arewa, Agbesi Road in Oyo State and Kwara State. 217 billion naira for the dollarization of old alignment Ijayi to FGC to Ilorin Road with a spur to Akimori. 116 billion naira for the 21 kilometer Abakaliki Afikpo Road in Ebonyi State. 110 billion naira for the Ogbomosho Oko Ilupu Road in Oyo and Osun State. 104 billion naira for the rehabilitation of sections 1 and 2 of the Ilorin Omori Ebe Kaba Obajana Road in Kwara and Kogi States. 98 billion naira for the construction of 30 kilometers Idiaraba Ayede Olodo Road in Oyo State. 92 billion naira for the rehabilitation of Baban Lamba Sharan Phase 2 Road in Plateau State. 86 billion naira for the reconstruction of Enugu Abakaliki Road with a flyover. 86 billion naira for the Adikpo Ajayi Tese Akpa Otukpo Road in Benue and Cross River State. This is good. 83 billion naira for Jimeta Mayo Belwa Road project in Adamawa State. 82 billion for the rehabilitation of Igbeti Road in Oyo State. 74 billion for construction of Igbeti Sorokishi Road in Oyo State. But we'll finish it. 71 billion naira for the construction of 52 kilometers Daban Makina Road in Niger State. 62.99 billion naira for the Tungo Karamti Road with 5 bridges between Adamawa and Taraba States. Then there's 58 billion naira for the rehabilitation of Yola Hong Mubi Road Phase 2. 46 billion for the Amasiri Okporojo Road. 34 billion for 18 kilometers Ikere Ekiti Ejare Road in Ekiti State and Ondo State. 26 billion for the new flyover on the ongoing Trans-Sahara Road. 24.7 billion for the rehabilitation of Kaba Ifaki Ado Ekiti Road in Kogi State to Ekiti State. 21 billion for the flyover bridge at Okolowo Junction in Kwara. 15.7 billion for the construction of Pacific Road linking Igbe Lara to Ikorodu in Lagos State. 15.5 billion. 15.5 billion for the 13 kilometer Bayeku Ijayi Road in Oyo State. I mentioned that earlier. 15.246 billion for the phase 2 of Yula Fufore Gurin Road project in Adamawa State, covering 20 kilometers after the completion of the 17 kilometer first phase. And there's 15 billion, I mentioned that earlier as well, for 32.2 kilometers in Gashua Yobe State, which was originally awarded in 2022. And then, of course, there'll be operation maintenance concession for Lagos Ibadan Expressway, and they also commence reconstruction of the failed sections of the Ibadan axis using concrete. Why did I read all this Churenchi? Because, the government doesn't have to stop the other things they are doing now to do this other thing. So we're very happy that this will be done. We're just looking forward to actually seeing them happen. Okay, that would be really nice. It's one thing to award, it's another thing to actually see it. So I think the opposition's job is to constantly check if those things are being done, and as the government, do it. What are you doing? Rather than just crying over. It's not even spilled milk. The milk is still in the bottle. You're just crying like bush baby. Anyway, that's the news for today. If you'd like to contribute and you're on TikTok, please feel free to come up. All right. And if you're not on TikTok, you can send me a message on Telegram. WhatsApp is creating a new feature using username. So once that is done, you'll be able to reach me on, maybe we'll be able to reach on WhatsApp as well, but we'll see how that goes. But for now, if you want to call, please feel free to come up. Meanwhile, somebody gave an advice yesterday that we should create Google Drive, but we can't create Google Drive because they are not documents. I thought about it later. It's called that they're already links. you can't put links in Google Drive because they are links already, and they're not documents, they're not, you know, forms, they're not physical forms either. So here's the thing. We have the links on another link, and this is because some people, I mean, that person, and maybe other people as well, you know, said they don't use Telegram, which is okay. So there's an alternative. I'm going to put it on our chat group. No. I'm going to put it on this comment, in the comment section. For some reason, I can't access YouTube, but I'm going to try and do it. So please go to Linktree. I don't know if you know Linktree. Linktree. Let me type it here first. Linktree is spelled linktr.ee. linktr.ee/Busui Oris. All right. Okay, so that's it on. I don't know if can you see it? For some reason, I don't think it's showing. One second, please. Let me just type this. We're putting this out because we have a number of forms on our Telegram channel, and some people say they don't use Telegram. I want to be able to also ensure that they are part of what we are doing. So please go to, and I'm going to read some of your comments in a bit. Linktree/Busui Oris. You will find the different forms that we've been talking about. Right? There's the giving form, there's volunteering, and then there's host. So you can just pick anyone you are interested in and become a part of what we're doing. So I'm going to pin this to our YouTube chat. Beautiful. All right, let's do it on TikTok as well. I think I had the assumption that many of us would be using Telegram, and a number of us actually do use Telegram, which is good. But just in case you're not using it, you can still. What you have to do with this, you just type it in your browser. Just put the URL in your browser, and you'll be able to. 1 second. You'll be able to find the forms right there. All right, so that's the link right there. Linktree/Busui Oris. Let's quickly read some of the comments. Ogro on YouTube says dialoguing with bandits is fine, but it should be complemented with drone strikes. Why are people like this? This Nigerians are something else. Let me just read it. It says dialoguing with bandits is fine, but it should be complemented with drone strikes. How else would they take your word seriously? The AES are showing these bandits pepper. How do you complement dialogue with drone strikes? But that might actually be the best way to take care of this situation. But thank you very much for that funny but serious submission, or shall I call it advice. Linda Jide says jihadists are psychotic killers. The government has tried to help the North with education and so on. They rejected every logical solution to their problems. I mean, to be honest, I think, Yorùbá sọ pé ẹni tó bá sùn là ń jí, a kì í jẹ́ ẹni tó ń pè rọ́rọ́. 1 second, I'll tell you the meaning in a bit. Let me just fix this TikTok stuff. All right. It means that you can wake someone who is sleeping. A person who is actually asleep, you can wake them, but you can't wake someone pretending to be asleep. And I think when people are ready, they will do something about the problem in the North. The government cannot solve the problem in the North without the help of the Northerners themselves, particularly the leadership across the religion and cultural leadership, political leaders, and all of those people have to work together. And I'm sure, the problem is not something that cannot be solved. It just needs a lot of, will, they need to be, invested in it, in solving the problem, not just paying lip service. right? If they choose to solve it, it will be solved. But if they are not ready, no matter what government does, nothing will happen in that part of the country. And that's because we have examples. And the famous one, which I like to refer to, because not so long ago, was what Goodluck Jonathan did with our Almajiri schools. Spent a lot of money, build schools. They're empty today. But it would be nice to have solutions to the problem, because whatever affects the North also affects us, because we are, even if you're not in Nigeria, you're still in West Africa, so it's going to affect in a way. So it's better for them to get us sorted. All right. My battlefield says, I hate it when people attribute that proverb to Goodluck Jonathan. But it's the truth. I mean, we know that Goodluck Jonathan tried. We know that Goodluck Jonathan tried. And that's important. All right. Let's have some fun. Ani Justani, who is clearly Igbo, he says that that our major focus should be in Oyo State, and those school children and their teachers should be our priority, instead of talking about Obi, and then he calls his father idiot. That then he went on to talk about all those nonsense. But here's the point: are you saying, and this is what Justani and other Igbos who are always talking this trash to me on social media, this is my response to you: are Igbo lives worthless? What is happening in the Southeast? Is it worthless? How come you are not speaking about what's happening in your region? You just go everywhere telling people not to speak about anything about Peter, but they should talk about what's happening in Oyo. So it means that since Oyo, the terrible situation in Oyo local government, since that time we should not talk about anything else, Abi. You are insane, you guys. All right, you guys are insane. Number one, you are insane. Number two, you are very insane, because you cannot be that daft and come here and tell me what to be speaking about, because again, you're insane. So maybe you should tell your OB to stop talking rubbish, so that people will stop trying to correct what he's saying, because most of what he's saying, it's just a shame. As an individual, I'm very sure he does well in business, and God has blessed him. When it comes to political conversations, it's just people come up on TikTok, we'll hear their thoughts, and then we'll begin to wrap up. We have here a review. Wow, it's been a long time. We have coded and review. Please mute once you get up. Thank you very much. Review, please mute. Let me see if we have others, so that I can begin to call on you one by one. But it's good to see your review. Review, please unmute now. Yes, please go on.
Professor.
Happy Professor now.
How you doing now?
Very well.
Yeah. So you mentioned something in your lecture about people of the northern extraction, the indigenous people, that a time will come, they will come to realization of and they might want to revolt, and you buttress it by saying the sage also kind of made a prediction regarding that. So I want to discuss with you on that. What do you think might be the kind of push factor that might want these people to come and say, okay, no, look, I think it's enough is enough. And could it be that annexation of their land, the so-called jihad, happened maybe much recent? It was like maybe 200 years, like 1804. Maybe if it had happened like maybe 1600, 1500, maybe it might be kind of impossible for the indigenous people to wake up and make claims and kind of try to redress the ugly situation. So what is going on? And,
right,
and how what lesson can we learn from people who are people now who are now kind of projecting religion above their ethnicity and saying, no, religion is the first thing, because if we follow their trend, at the end of the day we might lose it all. we may have a Yoruba land that is kind of conquered. So what lesson can we kind of get from there to that place? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So first of all, the Hausas don't need anything to wake them up again because they are awake now. That's the first thing. And in order to make that point, I'm going to play you a couple of clips. Take a listen to this one. Sorry, it's on YouTube, so you're going to listen to Feels Like a Dream, Feels Like Magic. Take a listen.
We are not Fulani. We don't have anything to do with them. We are only living in the same geographical area, and they are the ones that met us here. To us, they are invaders. They are invaders to us. Fulani are the ones perpetrating this evil, and you are saying that Hausa are threatening you, and they are unaliving us too, as they are unaliving other tribes. What's this? Look at what is happening in Zamfara. Look at what is happening in Kebbi, Sokoto, Katsina, and rest of the northern part of Nigeria, the Hausa land. They are unaliving us too, but they are not showing our own. Please, you people should try to understand this. We are not Fulani. We don't have anything to do with Fulani. Hello, what's up?
So here's the thing, right? People are say, by the way, I don't think this is necessarily a problem. And now I want to answer your second question before I come back to this one. If it had happened in 1600, listen, at the time in world history, that was the norm. I mean, we can all, say, oh, they took over land, they're invaders. Many parts of the world were invaded by different people. Does it make it right? Of course not. But it was the issue of that time. Where they are now, they're going to have to talk and come up. It's just like when you talk about Ilorin. There has to be a way around it. It's not going to be due to them what they did 200 years ago. It won't work. That one is a fact. However, the assertion that we are a different people, I don't think it should be a problem to people, especially Fulani. When they say, no, it's Hausa, there's not like Hausa Fulani, it's a political creation. But it doesn't have to lead to violence. It's just people trying to have more representation. That's what I think. And to be fair, they are, the Fulani is actually a smaller minority. So that person, his speeches, I've seen a lot of his videos, tells you that many people, and he's not the only one. There's another one, by the way, who was arrested by DSS, which is quite crazy. Let me just play that one for you.
Hausa and Fulani have shared close historical, cultural, and political ties with many people, especially the Nigerian press, referring to them collectively as Hausa Fulani. But in recent months, a campaign by some certain individuals has sought to redefine that relationship, arguing that the Hausa ethnic group should be recognized separately from the Fulani. One of the leading voices of the movement, Abdullahi, says the campaign is aimed at dissociating the Hausa from what he describes as the. He alleges that the insecurity and banditry affecting parts of the country have unfairly shaped public perceptions of the Hausa because of their long-standing association with the Fulani.
We are not in the war with anyone. It's misunderstanding. We want to stand on our feet. We realize that using that word, that notation, Hausa Fulani, is like a scam to us. It's a scam which eventually we are at the lower benefit. And what initiate all this activism is as a result of this banditry that caused all this. And we know those that are causes of all these aliens that we live with.
The campaign has also drawn the attention of security agencies. One of its promoters, Bichami Sango, is currently in the custody of the Department of State Service. Authorities have not publicly disclosed the specific reasons for his continued detention. Bichia's wife says he was arrested by security operatives and has remained in custody since then.
I traveled to Geneva on the 2nd of June, and That was the last time I had any contact with him on phone. So I became worried because I couldn't reach him, and we started asking questions, and somehow we found out that he was being held at the DSS headquarters. So when I got back to Nigeria, I tried to see him, and from the little I gathered when I saw him, he is being held because of his social media activism. And basically what he says is there's a clear difference between Hausas and Fulanis. There's no such thing as Hausa Fulani. He advocates for Hausa ethnic consciousness.
The traumatized wife is calling on the security agencies to release her husband or charge him to court.
All we are asking for is his return to his family. I keep lying to my kids. My son keeps asking questions. And I can't seem to explain to a child why his father has been away from home for so long without any tangible reason. And this is somebody who has never broken any law to the He's been law abiding, he's been an upright person. So if he has done something wrong, charge him to court, you know.
Should not be allowed to overshadow the shared history between communities in northern Nigeria.
Any tribe, you have good and bad people. So that idea of saying they want to separate from Fulani because Fulani are bandits is most ridiculous, because not all Fulanis are bandits. You have in Kano here, how many Fulanis are bandits? How many people are there that you can just long them and do this profiling? It's a political project.
Some residents also rejected attempts to associate crime with any particular ethnic group, insisting that criminality has no tribe and that individuals should be held accountable for their actions rather than entire communities.
Crime in itself has no name. Crime in itself has no tribe. A criminal is a criminal. He should be given that name, not his tribe. By the time you begin, yes, of course, the dominant, persons that participated today in this act, majority were Fulanis.
The debate continues to generate mixed reactions, reflecting broader conversations about identity, history, and security in northern Nigeria. Observers say maintaining peaceful coexistence and avoiding ethnic profiling will be critical as the discussions evolve. Ayo Adinaye, Arise News Kano.
Beautiful stuff from Arise News Kano. I think they made one mistake. The mistake was when they said they're trying to dissociate with Fulani because of banditry. Even that statement is problematic. There's the other one, the first guy, he's saying that they need more representation. You can support that one and not be seen as fomenting trouble. I hope they release the young man, and I hope that they should just release him so I can be with his family. But this is why I say that you have to be careful how you put out your message. Like, you can say the exact same thing, but your reason must be, you have to be very careful, right? The point is, they are waking up, and like I said earlier, it's like a fulfillment of what Awo said. I'm going to read to you what Awo said. Some of these conversations, you find it in some books. Some of them you find also in My March Through Prison, Adventures in Power, Book 1. And some, is a speech during the judgment with Justice Shoema, during that treason stuff. Let me read some of those things to you. By the way, that's one of the reasons I went to prison, because he dared to go against the political structure of the North. And like I said, what he predicted is happening. So let me just read to you. In 1959, this is Papa. In 1959, during the election that was to usher in independence in 1960, I embarked on an elaborate campaign in the North. I was using a helicopter to campaign in every nook and corner of the North. The most important aspect of the campaign of the action group was free education, life more abundant for the generality of the people, and so on and so on, and so on and so forth. Our manifesto was centered on the development of man. We worked so hard that the Sardauna of Sokoto, Ahmadu Bello, was forced to campaign, a thing he was never used to. If you want to know the details of that, please read Adventures in Power, Book 2, Traverse of Democracy and the Rule of Law. You will see everything, how it happened. We've done it here before, but if you're interested, you want more details. By the way, you can get all these books on Read Me Books on Telegram. All right? Let's go on. It says here, we worked so hard that the Sardauna of Sokoto, Ahmadu Bello, was forced to campaign, a thing he was never used to. My hope at the time was to liberate the North from illiteracy, ignorance, and the rancor-dede mentality. If I had won the election, I would have put a lot of money educating the North in order to bridge the educational gap between the region and the Western and Eastern regions. This was because I saw the lack of education as a stumbling block against political enlightenment of the whole region. Because they were not educated, the voters could not make up their own choices. Rather, the innocent people of the North had to be dictated to by emirs and the elites who feed them on a regular basis, whereas in the Western region, people could argue with their obas, could read the manifestos and make an independent choice which party and which politicians to vote for. Unfortunately, all my efforts to liberate the North from the cruel jaws of the oligarchy were frustrated by those who prefer the status quo to a new dawn of educational advancement. You can see that even now, the educational gap between the North and South is increasing by leaps and bounds. All the talk about catching up is nonsense. How can you catch up with somebody who is running while you are crawling? But I think that the sooner, by the way, these are different portions of different books. But I think that the sooner than later, the leaders of the North will see the repercussion of their selfishness and carelessness in their attitude towards Western education. But the time will not be too late. And if they don't regret it, okay, by that time it will be too late. And if they don't regret it or blame themselves for lack of foresight, the Northern youth may ask their leaders some questions when they see the rate of development that goes with education in many parts of southern Nigeria. They may then wonder whether it was in their stars or in the selfishness, carelessness, and lack of foresight of the leaders. If I had been given the chance in 1959 or 1979, I would have changed the fortunes of the North as a place that can be compared favorably with the South in terms of educational, social, and economic development. There's another one in the book Path to Nigerian Freedom. One second, I just read that one if I can quickly find you that page. By the way, our concern as Yoruba people on this matter is not to go there and say Hausa is right, Fulani is wrong. As far as I'm concerned, that's not my business. My business is, and I'll tell you why. The reason is because Papa went to the North in 1959 and they felt threatened by it, and they were like, you know what, you are in the West. Why are you here? I mean, I understand, yes, you know, constitutionally that he didn't do anything wrong. But even Papa talked about it in this book, Path to Nigerian Freedom, was written in 1945, published in 1947, that people would need to concern themselves with their domestic issues across the regions. If, for instance, we had ethnic nationalities or you have ethno-linguistic states in Nigeria. To his credit, though, that was what he was pushing for, but Nigeria did not give us that. So that meant that people could poke nose. Anywho, the point is, Papa's desire to help was right. But you see, they own their region. The conversation has to happen amongst them. That's why it sends me. In terms of, oh, this is what I think about it. Who cares? I'm not Hausa. I'm not Fulani. All I can say is that this is what history says. And to be fair, when it comes to Hausa Fulani that the professor was talking about, the professor also was being clever by half. it is not, it is a political identity. It was created. We can talk about, if we're talking about intellectual conversations, this is history, yes. But to be saying, no, yeah, let them go and fight and do anything, that's not your business as a Yoruba person. That's the truth. You may not like what I'm saying, but it's the truth. But if we're to learn from what's happening, we can discuss history so that we can learn. And that's the question he's asking. The lessons to learn is that you don't surrender your sovereignty on any platform, on any basis, whether it's religion or friendship or we are all one Nigeria or we are all together. Don't do it. In the beginning, in our land, many of them were Muslims. Well, not the entire place, of course, not like the way it is right now. But there are Muslims, similar to what we have in Yoruba land. There were Muslims, there were traditional worshippers, they were doing their thing. Hausa land, Okere no Ayo, that's where you got Queen Amina. They had Hausa states, city states. They were doing well.
Even during prehistoric era.
No, please hold on. Please hold on. They were doing well as individual, as city states, and they were working together, and they were traveling, they were trading. I mean, we've been having interaction with Hausa people for more than 500 years as Yoruba people. They come into our space, we go into their space. You know what? Now that I think about it, tomorrow let's do indigeneity between Yoruba and Hausa people. I want to read you a document from IFRA. Let's do it tomorrow. I'm saying it to myself actually, so I can remember. Let me write it down. I've been thinking about reading that stuff again. I think we can read it tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday, right? I'll read you so that you see the relationship between Yoruba people and Hausa people and how long we've been working together. So it's not like they were these blind people that they now came and opened their eyes. It's just that some of them became religious, and then religion became the tool to essentially make them not even, what's the word now? Not only, I mean, you can talk about the displacement through the jihad. Well, that's one. But the subservience that came after is something totally different. And then the introduction of feudalism is another different matter. If we're having an academic conversation, we can discuss that. But I'm not going to say that somebody should support one side against the other. That's not my business as a Yoruba man. And it's not because I don't feel keenly, it's because there's some battles that are not yours to fight. However, the lesson for Yoruba people is this. This thing that we do, people have done it before, and they have themselves to blame. Oh, we are brothers. We did it in Ilorin. We also made the same mistake in Ilorin. Afonja was thinking, Afonja was not a Muslim, but he was thinking of, if I can just build this army, they'll be able to work for me while I create what he was really doing. And it was a brilliant idea. Oyo's power was waning, and he, of course, over time, he had wanted to become the Alaafin, and they didn't make him Alaafin a number of times, starting with Aole. They will put somebody else. In fact, that's why Aole made him Arewa Kakanfo. And then, when he eventually wanted to achieve his ultimate goal of becoming a king, what he thought was that if I cannot go to Oyo to take over that place, we can as well create a new capital in Ilorin. So what he did was he went to Ugbo and Sekuku and Ileto and told them to come into Ilorin, and then they started creating new, like a new city, new compounds, new family compounds, new streets in town. This is something that we've always done in Yoruba land since Oduduwa, where all the settlements, the settlements around you, you can bind them together and then you become one city. We're very urban people, and we're also urbane. Check it out. Anyway, brought everybody together. You can now say in town, we'll make this place the new capital. That's what he was doing. However, he needed military might. To get the military might, he had to recruit as many people as possible. Then he sees these guys. They were Fulani, they were Hausa, some of them were slaves, some of them were discontented, some of them were escaping, whatever. Come. He started working with the Jamas. In his mind, he was going to use them as the soldier the army that he required, in their mind, they were going to use him as an extension of the caliphate. If you assume that you are the only one that is wise, as a Yoruba man, that will just use these people, it's not like that. We can also learn from Shola Gberu, who was a Yoruba man. And when I'm jumping a lot of timelines, and I know, when Afonja was eventually attacked by the Alimis people, he sent a message to his friend, Shola Gberu, who was even in Okesuna, who was a Muslim and a Yoruba man. He didn't come to his aid. When they, by the way, when we say Fulani did something, again, it's not to say Fulanis are bandits. I don't think that's even, some things are just so ridiculous you can't say them. It's just to say that the ethnicity of the people, okay, who are the people that went to take over Ilorin? Say, I did my family members. It's Fulani now. The point is they had their own agenda. This conversation is not about whether it was good or bad. See, conversations are not necessarily about binaries, good or bad. It's about, for the most part, it's about lessons and the strategies and the things that you can pick out of it. Is it good or bad? You can make up your mind. It was good for the Fulani now. It was bad for the Yoruba. And that's how things happen. And in 1840, it was good for the Yoruba and it was bad for Fulani when they were trying to enter Oshogbo because we woke up. But you have these people on social media right now, everybody just saying good people, great nation. And by the way, just because a group is not carrying machetes and fighting you does not mean that you are safe around them. People can take over your space, and it could be, you can have the armed group who wants to fight, like it happened with Afonja. You can also have people who are using rhetoric, oro, propaganda. That's how it begins. If you want to know, there's a book. I don't like recommending the book. I was going to recommend the book, but I don't like recommending the book because of what is inside. I'll say it in a way. If you know it, you know it. If you don't know it, you can research it. Read the book written by Adolf Hitler. I won't tell you the title. I've told you the title. I mentioned the title before, and I don't want to say it because it can get crazy. But the point is, sometimes it begins with narratives. That's what I'm trying to get at. When I did a video last week about one clown who was using exact Nazi ideology, exact words, exact ideologies, I was like, oh, and then his fellow clowns came and insulted me. Why are you talking about this? You're not talking about the children kidnapped. As if the children kidnapped will change their destiny. Oh, why are you talking about it? Two things, Herring folk and Lebensraum. Herring folk is superiority of the race. So it's master race, like Aryan race. That's what Igbos have been doing since at least 1949. At least documented. Doesn't mean that that's when they started. In fact, if you go back a bit and go and read West African pilots from 1938, that's when it started with Zeke. That's Herring folk. They are better, they are stronger, they are powerful, they are special. More than, and you can't say I'm special. It has to be more special than. That's what he started. Then there's Lebensraum. So Herring folk is about superiority of the race. Lebensraum is about expansionism, living spaces. They want to be able to go to places and say, we all own this place. That person is not different from the one who carries gun and says, I want to fight you and take over your land. They are the same. And I'll tell you why. Because the one who is talking, what is he doing? He's side up. By the time he's done with you, your guards are down. You are doing good people great. And Yoruba people are, our generation is blessed. I don't like saying negative things. Our generation is blessed. We are so, well, to be fair, it's not those of us that speak English. You see, those guys, by the way, don't look down on guys on the street too. They have more, they understand how life is working. All of us are just, sometimes, I took a course some time ago, and the things they were teaching, I was like, Abajo. Because they're just using, because the postgraduate course, they're just using European ideology, they're just teaching you nonsense. Let me give an example. Oh, time's a lot. There's one, I don't want to go into the details, but it's essentially you are reading about people, for instance, from the lens of Europeans who are feeling guilty for colonial activity and are not writing books, right? about what they did wrong. And as a Yoruba person, you go to school to speak English and you are internalizing those things. You are internalizing what Oyinbo did, and you're not feeling guilty for what your parents did not even do, but because you feel that you have not gone to school. That's why sometimes you need to listen to this Omogboro. In some instances, they are smarter in some matters. I know that, yes, we speak English, we read books, praise God, but they know some things that it will do us all like a whole lot of good if you just listen to some of them. Because nobody let on sing or no, most of us will just be speaking English. The point is, those ones know exactly what it means to preserve their spaces. They will love you. They're not fighting you, but can't take over their place. That I'm educated, I'm sophisticated. That doesn't concern them. Because at the end of the day, it is when you have a place to call your own that you can be shouting sophistication. I'm saying that this whole thing, also whatever is happening, it's not. It's important, but as a Yoruba person, it's the lesson. So we're just together. You're not together with anybody in this country, in this world. Why? Because, see, human beings are selfish by nature. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just what it is. And I'm not saying be selfish. I'm just saying that I have to know what you are doing or what you are capable of. You may not even be doing it. So you are ready for eventualities. Like this person, so I will love you, but I'll protect my space. I don't think that's a problem. And going back to what he said, I think that's why I also had missed it. But of course, you also remember that there was a war that they lost. So it wasn't just rhetoric, there was also a war. But the ones who are using rhetoric today, you can't tell me that if they have the chance, they're not going to harm themselves now. Were we not here when someone who calls himself Eze in Lagos was saying that he's going to call IPOP to come into Lagos? This last election. The beautiful thing about all these things is that I don't even have to say anything. You just refer. I'll just be referring you to news. You will find everything. So it makes it easier to communicate this thing. It's not, so you hate. It's not about hate. I don't hate anybody. But I love my own people. And I love you. But I can't love you more than I love myself and my people. And I don't think that's a problem. Unless, of course, you adore. Anyway, this is what Arewa said in the book I mentioned earlier. But here it was talking about how they would want to break off from Nigeria. It says here that the seed for a future minority problem in the North has been sown by the government. This is Arewa. The book is called The Path to Nigerian Freedom, published in 1947. The seed for a future minority problem in the North has been sown by the government. It will grow with growing political consciousness on the part of those who settle permanently in the North when the bitter harvest comes to be reaped. As surely it must, unless the present policy is changed, the British government should bear the blame. We could cite other instances, some of them in fact unprintable, but enough has been said to show that there is a big rift between the North and the South, which the government itself is sedulously widening. If the present tendency is maintained, listen to this. If the present tendency is maintained, when the Hausas come to their own, they will surely demand a Pakistan like Jinnah's Muslims. That was what was happening in Pakistan at the time. These things have been said. All right. So I hope I answered the question. I didn't go direct, but I hope I answered the question. Our lesson is just to know that we can love everybody. There's nothing wrong with loving people. And when people are saying things like, are we not all one Nigeria? We're like, oh God. And one Nigerianness does not mean that you should just come to a place and just say, like the fool. Because that has to be a fool who said there's going to be natural selection. They are the strongest species in Lagos and they will displace the Yoruba people because they are stronger. How can you say things like this? All people need to do, I don't want to say what people need to do because if something happens, I don't want it to be like I suggested it, but I hope nothing bad happens. Because there's certain rhetoric that people, you say things, and this is the funny thing, they've said the same thing before, that got people killed in the North. Was one person, Oyema, who said this in 1945, and that's the funny thing. How can you repeat the same mistakes in every generation? Are you not, doesn't that show that People are not evolving. The exact same thing. We are better, we are stronger, we will displace you. The Igbo domination of Nigeria is only a question of time. That's all he had to say. Not so many words. The Igbo domination of Nigeria is only a question of time. 11 words, many people were killed for that. How can you be repeating that same thing in 2026? And with the full, and by the way, let me just end by, before we go to CEO Code, somebody asked me the other day, why do you talk about your Igbos? I don't talk about Fulani. And I say, because there are different problems. You don't solve different problems using the same solutions. All right? With one, it's propaganda. And the purpose of the propaganda is to weaken the resolve of the Yoruba people. And if you read Awolowo's autobiography, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the autobiography, he said in that book that one of the goals of Azikiwe, which is also the goal of these people on Twitter, is to corrode the self-respect of the Yoruba people and to highlight or amplify the contributions of his people, of his own people, and then dwarf or diminish the contribution of other elite Nigerians. That was Azikwe's goal. It's inside the book. And if you think it's a lie, all you have to do is just go through West African pilot reports from 1938 to, let's say, early 1950s. It's the same thing. And people are repeating it. So when we speak like this, nobody hates anybody, sincerely, from my heart. It's impossible for me to hate. It's not possible. I can't abhor it. But if, and I say this example, I've used the example before, I'm going to say it one more time. If you see a soldier that carries a gun and is shooting at the other side, he's not shooting that gun because he hates the other country. He's shooting the gun because he loves the people behind him, not because he hates the people before him. So you say, oh, you hate us. You don't even matter to the point where I hate you. Like you matter to the point where I have to love you. I can't hate you because it's a waste of my energy. But I can't love you more than my own. And I think your Bible should have that mindset. It doesn't mean you hate anybody. That's a very long answer to the simple question, but I hope you got the answer. Anyway, tomorrow, I promise, we're going to read that IFRA document. Because I need us also appreciate our relationship. We also have a relationship with Fulani, by the way. There's a movie I want to recommend. This gentleman did not pay me for this, but I think it's worth it. Kilo Coffee, you know. It's by Adelove. They just uploaded it on Kunle Afolayan's channel. So it's not Yanewura. Yanewura was the first one. Oh boy, let me find you the name. The title. And I'll tell you why I want you to watch it. Because that movie was made in the, was it early 80s? If you're a Yoruba person, no matter your ethnicity, watch it. It's also important to say that it's not Ijaominira. Ijaominira was where they were carrying Okpatonja. Remember, it's not Ijaominira. This one was a bit more modern for the time. It was when Adelove and Edaonilola fought. Kadara, thank you. It's Kadara. Thank you, Great Army. Thank you for reminding me. The title is Kadara. You will see the relationship between Fulani and Yoruba, because it's also important to say it, so it doesn't look like, oh, the outsiders, see. I don't want to say it's not like playing a young boy saying Fulani against Hausa. I'll say it this way: if you get it, you get it. If you don't get it, forget about it. In Shaoroide, when Lakbite, when they took over, there's a song they sang. I'll sing it, and then if you understand it, you get it. If you don't get it, forget about it. Emma Pewala le Jomo Awayin la Nilu. Do you know about that song? Tó bá ti di bẹ́ẹ̀, ó dàbí èsì tó bà léèyàn ní private part. If you fly perches on your private part as a man, you don't hit it hard. Response. That's much I can say. But please watch Kadara. You will see the relationship between Yoruba people and Fulani. Because when they made that movie, Kwara State government supported it, and they had to show the different cultures that were already present in Kwara at the time. And that's why, let me end by saying this. It's also important for Nigerians to listen to Fulani. This thing is complex. It's not as simple as Fulanis are bandits. You may also need to listen to Fulani. It is true that sometimes they don't talk until it affects one of their own. I think it's just the selfishness in humans. However, you also listen to some of them who are also victims of banditry attacks. It's a complex thing. All right? So, I don't think I want to say more than that. And lastly, when it comes to Fulani, why I don't speak like them is because, why I don't speak about them the way I speak about people is because what they do requires governmental or policy solutions. Like the solutions to Fulani's actions are political. And it will be driven by policy makers. The one by the Igbos is a war of narrative. But if you allow the words to fly, the other one can still come later. And we've seen it happen. From 1944 to 1966, there were narratives. By 1966, there was a coup. And nobody on this earth can convince me otherwise. Unless, of course, you have something really out of this world. Because, brothers and sisters, I've tried on that particular period of Nigeria's history. It was an Igbo coup. Somebody sent me a video where one man said Kinikon was not an Igbo coup. He mentioned some things. There's some documents from the British archives where they were saying that they should have killed more Igbos so that it would not look like Igbo because they know exactly what they did. One day, when I'm done with the stuff I'm working on, I'll have a session, I'll read some of those things to you. Let all of us just live happily ever after. We are all good. We can live together as brethren. Oh, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to go together in unity. It's like the oil from the head of Aaron. It can be flowing. It is lovely. All right. But everybody should know their place. That's my own lesson as a Yoruba man from whatever is going on between the Hausa and Fulani. And I wish both of them the best. I hope they solve it. They don't have to fight. It doesn't have to be violent. They just need to give them representation. It's easy. If they think well, it's not that easy, but it doesn't have to be violent. And I hope they sort it out over time. Thank you very much for listening to that very long-winded answer to the question. Thank you very much, Review, for the question. Now let's go to CEO Coded. Good evening, CEO.
Good evening, Prof. Nigeria will be better in our time. And we wish the good of the land.
Amen.
Okay, quick one. Let me start from the top. I'll start with NNPC. The situation with NNPC is particularly sad. About $2.8 billion was sunk into the refinery for the repair. So kudos to EFCC that they were able to recover 38 billion so far, but it's still a drop in the ocean compared to the amount of money that was spent in the repair of the refinery. There was never a time that the refinery was producing PMS. They were just blending. They were not refining anything because even the catalytic converter was not repaired. So it was not doing anything. And it is sad that after wasting about $3 billion, we are back to where we started from. And
you work in that industry, Abi? Or somewhere around that? Can that place not be sold?
It can be sold, but then who is going to buy? It's an old refinery. The technology is pretty old. So you need to revive it, you need to modernize it for it to meet up with, for it to be efficient, so to say. Because with the current equipment that you have there, efficiency will be impacted. So you need to spend a lot of money to revive it, change out machines, change out equipment for it to be more efficient. And then I'm going to join friends from that and relate it to every other government parastatal that we've had over time. And I noticed this pattern that every federal government parastatal that we've had has gone the same direction as NNPC. Talk of Nigerian Airways, talk of Nitel. In fact, Nigerian Airways at some point, they were telling us that it is the logo that was the problem. That's why it was not making profit. So they changed it from elephant to eagle. I don't know if you remember that time. They changed it from elephant to eagle to say, okay. But it was obvious. It was not being run as a commercial entity. Simple. Everybody was being subsidized. politicians were subsidized, ministers were subsidized, elite with connection in society were subsidized. So, like, if you have a flight of like about 256 people, maybe just about 56 of you are the people that are paying for the ticket. The rest of the people are just being freebies because they will book flight for themselves, book for their wife, book for their housemaid, book for their gate men, and everybody is going to London or New York or whatever it is. It is sad. Then secondly, look at Nitel also. The same thing with Nitel. It was not designed to run as a commercial entity. If you compare the story of NNPC with what Dangote is doing today, Nigeria has no business to be poor just by that refinery alone. I mean, and we have had several instances of what is happening in the Gulf now. In the past, we had the Gulf War, we had the first Gulf War, the second Gulf War. So we had an opportunity to take charge of the economy of Africa just with NNPC alone. The same thing with Nitel. If you look at Nitel, combine all the telecoms companies that you have in Nigeria today, if you combine them together, they were not as big as what Nitel was then. The real estate, up to today, I have not seen anywhere where the real estate that Nitel hold in Nigeria was audited and say, okay, this is the true value. But amongst them, just share those things among themselves. I mean, for a company to exist for close to like about 40 years and only was able to manage about 200,000 lines in the country of a population of about, maybe back then, like about 100 and something million people, 180 million people. So it saddens me when I see these things. And that is why sometimes I pivot this thought that, look, maybe we should not even be doing all this federal government something, everything centralized. Maybe it should be regional. Even CBN, at some point, I think we might need to, every region might need to have its own bank. Although, I mean, something like that is being practiced in England, in the UK. Bank of England is the bank of note that issues currency. But they also allow some banks in Scotland to issue their own currencies. So, because if you look at what happened with CBN when this government came into power, that they realized that every department of CBN was overstaffed. And a lot of people that were in Abuja had no business being in Abuja. And this government tried to restructure, and you know the backlash that came from that. So maybe we should just maintain our region, everybody do his own thing, and let's see who will survive. Today, Odua investment is still surviving. And this was a regional arrangement that the Southwest floated. Okay, so this experience of this federal thing, I don't think it works for us. It has compromised us, and we also know that a particular section or some particular sections of the country actually benefited from the corruption from that system in those areas out here now. Now, on banditry, I mean, Buba Galadima is a voice that should be heard, but that should not be taken seriously. In the sense that if you look at his thoughts are always very at odds with every common reasoning. But unfortunately also, if you probe it, you will realize that he's speaking the mind of people in the north who are not bold enough to say what he's saying. It was the same person that said that they had to impress upon Buhari so that the Kwara does not fall into the hands of the Yoruba, and they had to do some behind the scene machinations. I mean, why would an elder statesman be uttering such statement if not that is what is being echoed in their own circles? So it's just a voice that is, I will call it a wayward voice, so to say, that is not measured. But for everything that he says, we should take lesson from it, that it is not just him saying it, but it echoes the sentiments of a particular section of the country. Now, in this modern day, where how everything has evolved, why would anybody say that state policing is not necessary? 2 days ago, there was a press conference by Trump, and he said that the amount of equipment that was seized from these bandits after unaliving them was enough to fill an empty aircraft, a Boeing 747. But that tells you that we're dealing with something on a scale that we don't even know yet. I mean, we're talking of equipment that are worth billions of dollars. Where is this financing coming from? The financing cannot be coming from Nigeria alone. So it is global. Right. And we need to wake up to that reality so as to be able to protect our space and sustain our nation. Thank God there has been some momentum in that space in the last couple of weeks. There have been some gains. Although, like from security perspective, you know that when the heat gets turned on at a particular section, these people will normally migrate southwards to look for soft targets to try to create some chaos here and there. So, that's that about that. So, we need to be alive to our responsibility. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, CEO Coded. Fantastic submissions. Nothing really to add. And I like the fact that you're also, a stakeholder in that industry. It's just quite sad that, you'd have refineries, gulping billions and billions of naira and dollars and millions of dollars, and you can't really see anything of worth, from those spaces. And you're very correct that these places were not built for profit. And it's a shame. Nigeria, it's blessed. Just go capitalist straight. I think it's the way we were built because of this colonial rubbish, where you assume that the government has to provide stuff. Let people just get into this. See what Dangote is doing right now. BU is going to come online very soon. Other refineries are going to come online. Then you're going to have what you should have, rather than the expectation that government will provide this thing. And then at the end of the day, nothing really is moving. It's not how things should be. But we hope that EFCC does a fine job and recover more money. And we also thank God. Even if you don't believe in God, you have to thank God for Dangote. But for him, all of us will be queuing. We'll be queuing all over the place with jerry cans. Thank God. And things are changing now. The prices are coming down, even though it's slow. It's crazy. When it was going to go up, it was fast. Now that it should come down, they are too sluggish about it. But the Straits of Hormuz has been, that problem has been resolved largely. So we are hoping that very soon people will be paying much less for fuel. How do I say state police is necessary? Absolutely. Well, we've come to the end of today's show. Thank you very much, Bumblebee. I see you. I'll have you around tomorrow, and we'll talk about the relationship between Yoruba and Hausa people tomorrow. Why? Because it's also important to know that some people actually have relationship before Nigeria. Yet you don't see us shouting, Hausa person is from Ife. I don't say that kind of rubbish. And Hausa person doesn't change my story because we have been knowing each other for 500 years. It's people who just came around a couple of days ago who will change Yoruba history. That's absolutely nonsense. We'll address our relationship. And it's not always been cool. It's always been smooth. You've had crisis between us. But again, that's how human beings are. You can say the same thing between England and France. That's another thing. This is not today's topic. We're leaving soon. I just want advice. Whenever you read our history, sometimes just knowing what has happened in other climes, not to compare, but just to give you a better understanding of the fact that some of the things that happen elsewhere as well. So it gives you an idea that it's a human issue. But you don't see England and France say, because we fought, because of Norman invasion. By the way, we are still, let me give you one Jara before we go. We'll listen to the anthem now. I learned it recently, so let me just share. Have you ever thought about the reason you have different words from the meat you get from lamb, goat, cow, but then chicken is chicken? Short answer. You must have known. I'm sure a lot of people already know. So you have mutton, you have chevron, you have beef, and so on and so forth. The reason is because every meat that we call by whatever name, whether it's mutton or chevron or beef, which is from the cow, or mutton from the lamb, or chevron from the goat, those words are French. All right? And it's because of the Norman invasion and the influence of France in England. It goes back to William the Conqueror. Anyway, the point is that the words, a lot of words we now use are French. Sabotage, entourage, rendezvous, renaissance, all those things are French, but you don't see them fighting over it. That is water under the bridge. So people have to also understand the fact that when we try to address maybe something we consider to be injustice of yesteryears, You can't go back to what was before the problem. And I'll say this into the Hausa, as I will say to people talking about Ilorin as well. You cannot go back to what was before the problem, unless you are trying to actually go violent. I don't need violence. We can sort this thing out, and people should have rights in their own land. That's paramount. Okay, thank you very much for being part of today's session. We've had a lovely time together. We'll be here again tomorrow. If you join us for the first time, we have the sessions every weekday, Mondays to Fridays, 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. Someone says, and that's why we must keep Igbos. Ojo, thank you. Ojo Apok in Jojo Ara. Emma Bino, Mufe Law, but on for no for Jackie Kinilo. Ojo Akpa, cooking Jojo Ara. Let us find a way to remedy it. And the funny thing is that they will make you feel like no matter what they're going to do in our land, it will not give them 100% joy. It's not possible. You have to concede. You have to let some things go. One day we have a session on Ilorin and what people are saying right now on social media. We have to go back there and take it back. Okay. It is well. Mr. Charisma says, leave Igbos alone now. Maybe Igbos should also grow some cells. And the sad part, let me tell you the real sad part about your people, Charisma. Not everybody is like that in your place. So not every Igbo person talks like many of you. I have to say that because these days you have to add caveats every time. That's another French word, by the way. But here's the thing. The average person from your place thinks that way. Even your educated people, your kings, the professor, and the vulcanizer, the same. It's not good. Evolve. God bless you. Let us listen to the anthem. We'll be here again 4 p.m. tomorrow, if a time West African time. But before we go, we'll listen to the Nigerian anthem and the Yoruba anthem. Here's the Nigerian anthem. Please sing along.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be your symbol, that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle honored, and this we count as
ní ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògùn adúláwọ̀ ìmọ́lẹ̀ wọ̀ ní wọ́ọ̀kùn lágbára Ọlọ́run. Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò ní bàjẹ́, Nàìjíríà náà ò ní dàrú. Ilé wa ọ̀nà wa ò ní bàjẹ́ ní agbára Ọlọ́run. Gbogbo nǹkan tó bá dáwọ́lé a máa yọrí sí rere ni o. May God bless you. May God keep you. May God cause His face to shine upon you and bless the work of your hands. May Nigeria work in our lifetime. May things get better in our country. May we be part of the solutions to the problems of this country. May Yoruba land prosper, and may you thrive in this land and eat the good of this land. Thank you very much for being part of today's session. Olori, thank you very much for being here as well. Glad to have you join us. Again, please please check Linktree/Busri Oris. I'll talk more about it tomorrow. I'll put out the address tomorrow so we can all see it. Linktree, all the forms are there. If you can't use Telegram, you can find them all. Support what we're doing. Let's try and push to the next level. We've got to get to the grassroots. We've got to get to the young people, and they can then spread it. There's a lot of work to be done. We also want to make it fun. That's why we're going to be having the games. And that game show, I'm going to play some clips from there, maybe tomorrow or one of these days, right? Or when we're getting closer, we'll talk about it. We'll talk more about it. Thank you very much for being part of today's session. Do have a lovely evening. I'll see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. if at time, West African time. God bless you. Udaro.